Hello everyone, and welcome to Survival Live. Well, in the last Survival Live episode, we defeated the Ender Dragon, and in this episode we're going to do a bunch of end raiding. We did do some end raiding in the previous episode, but we really just got ourselves one pair of Elytra and maybe 2 or 3 Shulker shells. And so here we are on this end ship, and just welcome everyone to the live stream. I'm so glad that everyone who's here was able to make it, or if you're watching this in the replay, feel free to watch all the other videos and live stream replays in this series, and there is a playlist with that that is on my playlist page on my channel. But how's everyone doing today? And hello to just everyone in the chat there. Anyway, basically, one actually interesting thing I wanted to share with everyone while we're here, and you may already know this, as I have mentioned this in videos before, but on the end ship, you'll notice right next to sort of the main mast here of the ship, there's this piece of magenta glass, and that piece of magenta glass is actually from a long time ago when Mojang was originally designing the end cities, and that's because there wasn't going to be Elytra in the game, but instead right here was going to be a beacon that's light would shine through here, and you can even see there was sort of like a strange hole missing at the top of the crow's nest there. That's because there would be a beacon beam there as well. But anyway, let's grab ourselves this brewing stand and let's start killing all the shulkers that are around here, like this one through the window. I kind of love doing this because the shulker can't actually really get at you, but it did drop a shell, which is nice, so of course we'll block that shulker pellet there, and we'll come up here and try and get this shulker. Now this one may end up being able to hit us, but if we're careful we should be fine, but I guess we weren't careful enough, so there we go. Now, of course, in a scenario like this, we have to be really careful, but we can sort of just hide underneath the top of this here on the ladder. Something kind of funny I've actually noticed is that oftentimes there's a glitch where this ladder doesn't spawn in, but it did spawn in here. So, one other thing that's always good is to, of course, get the Ender Dragon head, or the sort of front piece of the ship here, as I found a lot of people forget that, but it's the only place in the entire game to get that item. Also, if you want to, you can always grab the sort of the pillars here, well, not the pillars, but actually, of course, the end rods, as they're a really nice light source. The only problem with that is that they are actually fairly easy to get as you can craft them, and it takes quite a bit of extra time to do that. But hopefully everyone's having a great day today. I know I am having a pretty good Saturday. It just kind of started for me, but I'm hoping this stream will go really well. Now we can actually see, I think, a total of 3 end cities from our current location. There's this one here, and we might have raided that one already. I don't really remember. But the great news is that we have all the supplies we'll need to end raid for a really long time. Now, if you're wanting to kind of know what supplies you do want, the most important things are at very least 1 water bucket, a little bit of wood, so some logs are fine. You also want fireworks, as well as a food source. Now, baked potatoes is not the best, but it's certainly better than, let's say, maybe bread or something. And so it is a decent food source to have, and because we have quite a bit of it, this is something we'll have to watch, because we could eventually run out of it, as of course baked potatoes don't last that long. But anyway, we're going to go over here, and we are going to start killing all the shulkers through here to get ourselves a good supply of the shells. Now we do have looting 3 on our sword, which is really, really good. We got that very luckily a little while ago. That's going to enable us to get some more of the shulker shells. Now in Bedrock Edition, the looting enchantment works way more efficiently when you're killing shulkers. It does work somewhat in Java, but it doesn't even double the percentage chance for getting the shulker shells, whereas in Bedrock you can get up to 4 shells per shulker. But in Java you can only ever get 1, and even with looting 3, it's not even a 100% chance of getting a single shell. We'll go through here, and let's get ourselves a shulker down here as well. And yeah, it is pretty crazy that 4 shells can drop from 1 shulker. I mean, of course, in Java Edition, there's a really popular sort of data pack that people will use, where you can kind of have that happen inside of Java, where the shulkers can drop a lot of shells. But it is interesting to think that that's completely vanilla inside of Bedrock Edition. And there's always sort of this annoying shulker that's at the top of these towers, and we can see there's one right here. So we'll get it, but I've actually seen people completely leave all the shulker sort of looting in the city, and then they'll make a shulker shell farm later. However, because this is sort of a small-scale single-player world, I don't think at this stage in the game we really need a shulker shell farm. And of course, the amount of time it'll take to make that will be a lot more compared to how many shells we'll actually be able to use from it. Let's get that shulker right there. We're getting a really good drop rate actually on the shulker shells. One of the reasons why it's important to be careful to not get hit too many times by those shulker pellets isn't actually because they damage you that much, although they do a little bit of damage, but it's mostly because then it has to make you regenerate your health and you run out of food really quickly. And of course, once you run out of food, then it's going to be, of course, difficult to end raid. You can eat the chorus fruit, but by doing that, they'll run out pretty quick, and it's also really dangerous because, of course, when you're eating the chorus fruit, you could teleport all the way down there and lose a lot of your progress. So I wouldn't really suggest doing that, but you technically can if you want. Of course, you can use your shield to block these shulker pellets there. You can also hit them with a sword or some other object. So for instance, when we're hitting the shulker here, we can actually hit that shulker pellet just like that, as if it was an entity. That can work really well as a trick. I've noticed a lot of people won't even know they can do that. We're actually getting super lucky with these shulker shells. I'm sure it is have something to do with the fact that we have looting 3. But of course, as well as that, sort of random chance can have a lot of good chance there. So there we go. And someone says they raided an entire end city and got 2 shulker shells with looting 3 in Java. Yeah, that definitely does seem to be the case. It's kind of funny with random numbers. You know, when we think of random, we sort of think that, you know, things will still be somewhat ordered, but random really means that it's much more likely that you'll sort of get a lot of things at once, and then later on you can get very few. So sort of like when you're mining diamonds in Minecraft, strip mining, those kinds of things. Have you ever noticed that what often happens is that you won't just get, let's say, 1 diamond and then wait 5 minutes another diamond, or a cluster of diamonds. It usually tends to be sort of a lot of diamonds in a row, then not almost any, then a lot of diamonds in a row and not almost any. That's just because the random chance of that happening is a lot higher than of it being really even and ordered, which is kind of interesting. But there we go with that other shulker. And I don't think there's much else to raid in this specific end city. There doesn't seem to be any of those sort of shulker towers with the loot chests. So we can probably make our way out of here. I guess we'll check to see if we've raided this end city. It doesn't really matter, as fireworks are not the thing we're going to run out of. We have almost 2 full stacks of fireworks. If anything, our elytra durability is what's going to run out, but even then we're probably fine. So we'll check this out real quick and see if we've raided it or not. I'm feeling like we probably have, but let's see. And we'll just look in the chests here, of course, since we didn't necessarily kill those shulkers, and we have definitely not raided this, and there is a ton of amazing stuff in here. But of course, something you probably noticed as well, now we came from that end city there, but there's another end city in the distance, and this one has an end ship on it, as well as lots of those towers. And it's really cool having the 32 chunk render distance on. I found that that's a really important thing when you're raiding the end cities. Now, of course, a lot of people's computers can't handle that. I mean, I have a pretty good computer, and I've had times where Minecraft's being kind of unstable and can't handle that either. So it's, of course, whatever your computer can do. But still having that large view range, it kind of makes things like, let's say, finding the end cities with seed finders really not even be that useful. You can even notice right here we can sort of hit these shulker pellets here before they hit us. The problem is, of course, that you sort of can't be spam clicking too much, or it's not that effective. Now, something we probably should have brought, we might have it somewhere, or maybe we could craft it, and that would be a axe, as of course then we could break these chests a bit quicker. But just in this one chest there was 7 diamonds. That is a crazy large amount of diamonds for sure. And also thank you to Dirtbag, who just gifted 20 Eyecraftmc memberships. They also gifted 20 Eyecraftmc memberships in the last stream, which is super awesome. So we're going to have tons more members. And of course, the more members there are, the more member exclusive content there is as well. So we're going to make ourselves a shulker box. Now you may be wondering why at this stage in the game are we making a shulker box, since we're sort of just raiding the end city. The reason why, of course, is that when you have a lot of shulker boxes, you can sort of compound your storage. And so by doing that, we can get sort of random items we had, like let's say this magenta stained glass, or these dark oak slabs that we just really do not need, and we can put them away inside of the shulker box to then make our inventory be a lot more sort of empty, so we'll have more room to grab all the items that we need. And I'm kind of a firm believer in fully raiding structures. I know a lot of people will basically just go around from end city to end city only getting the elytra, but to me I think it's usually best to get all the things you can. That's not only is it much more fun that way, but then also you never have the desire to come back to a certain area and raid it all the way. what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically float down here and try to, one by one, get all these shulkers, but as you can see, there's a big problem with doing that, and what it basically ends up being is the fact that, of course, you get so many of these shulker pellets being hit at you, it's actually really hard to not just have an infinite levitation effect. Having a shield at this stage is really important. As you can see, my health isn't super full. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not very full. We also do not have feather falling, so it's actually really important for us to be careful with that. Water can help a lot with levitation issues, but still it's really easy to get into a death spiral. And that's often what I would really describe these things as, is as a death spiral, because usually what will happen is maybe you'll run out of saturation so that you're not regenerating your health very quickly, and then over time you can just kind of lose all your health really quick. So like even right here, this could potentially turn into a death spiral, and that's why you want to be really careful in this kind of structure, because like even right now, without this shield we might actually die. As you can see here, we're a little bit over half health, so what we'll probably do is we'll probably make our way out of here and go up there. And thank you also to Dirtbag for doing a super chat for $100. You're always incredibly generous on these streams, so thank you to that. And if anyone else wants to buy a membership to the channel or give a super chat, these things do support the channel directly. And I use the funds from the super chats to fund my Minecraft server, which you can actually play on. It is on play.eyecraftmc.com. And if you want to know more details about that and how to join the SMP we have on there, then I have all the info on there on my Discord server, which should have some links in the description. But either way, and also in the live chat, of course, but either way, something really important that I'm going to have to do right now is find a way of killing all the shulkers in this tower without dying. And like I said, because we don't have the feather falling, it's actually a lot more dangerous in this sort of scenario, and we're going through a lot of potatoes. And so I know some people what they'll actually do, and it's not even the worst idea, is they'll just not raid these central big structures. Because of course, like as you've seen here, I've been fairly close to death a couple times, but because we're being careful, we should be fine. So it's always really good to be aware of that. Like for instance, right now, if I hadn't have seen that my hunger was sort of getting low, and then eaten some food because of that, I could have easily sort of gotten a death spiral and died. Now, even like that right there, that drop, really, really very important to be aware of that, and I'm hoping that fairly soon we can find some shoes, or some boots of course, and on those boots we'll have feather falling for us. That's going to raise our chance of survival by a massive percentage. So let's go up here and let's finish off the other shulkers that are in this shulker sort of tower, whatever this exact structure is called, I forget. We're going to turn on hitboxes for just a minute to make sure we're not missing any sort of shulker shells that are on the ground. And of course, just as I try and fall down there, the shulker drops one of the levitation things there, but we're going to get this last shulker. And there we have that shell. And again, we can only really go down with this water. The reason why, of course, is that with the levitation effect, you can only go up. You kind of slowly float upwards. But with that water there, you have full control over going up and down, because sort of the anti-gravity doesn't have an effect when you're inside the water. So we're going to go over here. I think that this main tower was at sort of the top of the structure, so there probably isn't anything above it. I do see that one shulker up there. I also have a bow, but I do not think I have very many arrows, if any, so we can't really do that well. We're going to go down here and try and make our way to the next area where we can get some shulkers. This might actually be at the bottom. I might have... actually, you're right, there are some things on the sides of that, because I remember seeing on the side of that tower, there were sort of some side structures. So we'll get these two shulkers here. Again, let's try and actually dodge the shulker pellets this time. It's annoying because you'll notice they literally try and go around you. They're really smart. So you have to be kind of careful about that. For instance, when we're stuck up here now, okay, I shouldn't have used that ender pearl. When we're stuck up here, of course, we'll have to be kind of careful to not get eternally levitation affected by this shulker here. And we just had a super chat. Let me just read this off before I miss it. And that is from Brandon Gentry, and it says, "This stream is already fantastic. I'm really glad my friend showed me your content. I'm really glad he showed you my content as well. And it's so awesome when people share my content with other people, of course, friends they know that play Minecraft. And I have this great library basically covering everything in the entire game. In fact, I think there's only about 5 or 10 main topics I haven't covered yet inside the game, and I definitely do plan on making videos for those fairly soon. And so if you ever have anyone who's having trouble with Minecraft, feel free to refer them to my channel, as not only does it help them, but it also helps support my channel, and they can learn even more about the game. Let's go up the sort of parkour here. If you don't want to do the parkour, of course, we can always cheat through it with a water bucket, which I definitely enjoy doing. Some people will even put down water and sort of use that to break off those end raids. And you can do that as well. It does work. So we're going to go this way and basically make these water go up here. And we're going to try and find the entrance. Now, we're actually going to let ourselves get hit by the Shulker's levitation pellet there. And there's a good reason for it. It's interesting because in one sense, of course, the Shulkers are really annoying. But another way as well, I couldn't imagine how difficult it would be to actually raid the structure if the Shulkers did not throw those at you. Because then it'd be like really difficult to sort of navigate through it, as of course the firework has so much power to it. That basically looks like, yet again, we have a bunch of memberships. In fact, an insane amount of memberships. It looks like we had Dirtbag gift 50 memberships twice. So 100 people have memberships now, so 100 extra people on top of the 20, 120 people. Well, number one, thank you a very large amount for that. And on top of that, I feel like that means that almost everyone in the chat right now must have a membership. So I'm not exactly sure how claiming those works. But however that does end up working, then hopefully almost everyone here can use those emojis. And since that's like at least half of the people in the stream now, what I would suggest doing is going to the emoji panel and basically trying out using all these emojis. We have these awesome emojis that have been made by Mythic Mutations, and I've linked them before on my I think it was my server stream or maybe my 200k stream, that amazing emoji, so be sure to use those as much as you possibly can. Little known fact, you can actually have all the super chat or all the membership benefits also inside of my videos, and so in the video comments you can also use those emojis, and you can also have that badge when you're commenting there. So let's say there's a video of mine you really like, maybe a new one or an old one, you could comment with some of those awesome emojis, and those emojis would stay there forever, even if you eventually did not have the membership. So let's go over here. This is a nice one. It's always good to have these sort of loot chests here. We'll try and get this other Shulker, just sort of in the corner here. Something I've kind of noticed, it's a really interesting effect, is that the Shulkers will take more damage if they're open. It definitely makes sense, but it's something good to be aware of. Oh, I remember the last time I put some Shulker shells in the ender chest. Now we do have Silk Touch, yeah, so we can grab the ender chest here. We may as well put some more of the Shulker shells in here. The idea behind that, of course, is that the Shulker shells as well as the Elytra are the most valuable things we're getting here. And so because of that, it's kind of a good idea to have that there. Let's break through here. And let's put on this. Now we have here protection 4 diamond boots. Our current ones were fire protection 3, so that was way less sort of useful. But with these protection 4, that's going to give us a lot of additional protection when we're raiding this end city. I really hope actually we'll be able to find a feather falling 4 pair of boots. I think that it's fairly possible, so I'm hoping that will happen. Let's go up through here. And I think this is a very, very short one of those sort of Shulker tower things. So we're going to make our way over here. We'll put down some water temporarily, which I instantly picked up, of course. And on these ones, it's sometimes possible to actually get every single Shulker as you levitate upwards. I'm not always able to do it, but it is possible. So we're going to go through here. This one here, we might levitate out of range, unfortunately, but there is another one that probably appeared on the roof. It's funny because there's like certain positions they tend to teleport to. I'm not sure if it's set positions or just the way that it works, but it does often seem that it's like that. So for instance, often on the roof or on the side of the structure. Let's get this last Shulker here. It looks like there is a shell we did not collect down here, so we'll of course collect that shell. It's actually funny because there's technically a way, and it's kind of annoying, but there's technically a way to do parkour up here like this, sort of going from end rod to end rod, then onto the side of this, and I just could not imagine raiding an end city like that. It would be so annoying. So, you know, a singular water bucket's what's going to give you the power to go through here easily, as let's say using a firework rocket is really dangerous and you'll get kind of thrown too far. I'm guessing the other Shulker is on the edge of the structure. We can just take a little look. If we can't find it instantly, I'm never, you know, completely thorough with these end raids, but it's always good to get the majority of easy Shulkers. Probably, there it is. Now, I don't think we can reach it, but if we kind of go down here, we might be able to get ourselves the levitation effect to make our way up, if it's really worth it, which, you know, it probably isn't. So let's go over here. Let's continue to raid by raiding this structure here. It's always funny when the shulkers sort of instantly teleport away. Of course, now we can use a firework rocket and make our way upwards. We also have 5 iron on us, and we can get more iron from the chests, I believe. And so because of that, we can hopefully craft technically infinite shields. Now, not, of course, actually infinite, but pretty infinite, since we do have a good supply of wood there. Now, right over here, we have another small structure. We can maybe get the shulker on the side of that, maybe not. Probably not, actually. We'll go over here. We'll just kind of raid where there's a lot of shulkers to get at, as it makes a lot more sense. And we'll craft a new shield pretty quick here as well. Now, because there's a lot of these shulker shells, let's go through the wall here. If we can, of course, since the shulkers are keeping us levitating pretty quick here. We have another person who just joined the Ice Squad. And thank you to everyone, of course, who's joining that, either because they paid for it or because they were gifted it. And hopefully everyone enjoys that. There's some exclusive community posts and things like that. I haven't made too many of those yet, but I'll definitely try and make more, as I think our membership went from like 75 to 200 in the last 10 minutes, so that's pretty good. And looks like the shulker shell just dropped down there. We'll get this shulker, and then we should be good to head back down. And I think we can probably do, actually, it'll save a little bit of time, is if we get a chorus fruit, which I might have put away, actually. So put it here. We did put those away, which is not a good idea, since those are really important in certain deadly scenarios. If you notice, the sort of shulker shell that dropped off is going to be down here. So if we eat the shulker shell, or not eat the shulker shell, if we eat the chorus fruit, we'll likely teleport onto the ground, and we did, so there we go. And there is that shell on the ground, and it's kind of cool how you can instantly teleport onto the ground, but unfortunately if you already have full damage that is like that, then you can sort of not have that be combined. But let's just take a look at our inventory, what we currently have on us, and see what we can do with the items that are here. So I think that what's probably the best idea is to basically go for any of the other shulkers that are inside of this end city. I don't think there's a lot. We can take a look, but I can't really see any. Now, of course, we can fly now, so we'll have to utilize that ability quite a bit. Let's get these sort of useless items off of our hotbar. I think we did raid all 3 of the end towers. Might not have raided actually this one, or maybe like up there. So we'll find out about that one. But let's go down here and then sort of upwards again. And we may as well use the water bucket to save time if we can find it. It's kind of funny, actually, how you can sort of stand on the top block of a ladder, whereas if you're on the side block of a ladder, you can't just stand on top of it. Interesting how that block's kind of treated differently by the game. Let's go up here, and this is sort of the way of climbing with water, just kind of picking up and replacing that. Now, there's a lot of shulkers here as well. This is another one of those somewhat dangerous scenarios, but again, with eating enough food, we should be fine. One problem you might have noticed is that when we're eating food, then our shield is not activating. So even just that can be something that's really good to be aware of. And also sort of staying over areas where if you do end up falling, you're not going to be dead instantly anyway. So we can sort of eat that. I did not mean to eat that, but we teleported to the bottom anyway. Actually, be really careful with chorus fruits, as of course, you can sometimes teleport really far away, especially if you're raiding before you have Elytra. It can really waste a lot of time if you're sort of teleported to the wrong area. But let's eat another potato here to replenish our health, and it's so awesome to hear all the people claiming their memberships there, becoming members of the channel. So let's just get rid of this shulker here. And I believe there's, of course, 2 loot chests up here for us to grab some items from, which is kind of nice because, of course, no matter what the height of the tower is here, we'll have all these loot chests to go for. So we're going to pick these up. There's beetroot seeds, of course. You might have wondered why there are beetroot seeds inside of these loot chests, and I actually know why, and the reason is really interesting. So basically the way that it works is the beetroot seeds will be... let's see here. The beetroot seeds will actually... were from 1.9, so beetroot was added in 1.9, and so were the end cities. And so because of that, when beetroot was first added to the game, you know, everyone's villages would already be, you know, there. They would already have had those villages for quite a while, so there'd be no beetroot in them. And so because of that, Mojang decided to add beetroot seeds as loot to the end city. The only problem, of course, is that eventually the end city is now like one of the only structures that has beetroot. There are a couple others that have it as well, but it doesn't really make sense anymore, as of course most worlds, in fact like probably 99.9% of worlds, have the villages in them be generated after 1.9. So kind of an interesting fact if you're wondering why it's still there. They definitely should remove it from the loot table, but because they haven't yet, it's sort of an interesting fact. And I just realized I actually have a fully sort of full durability shield here, which is awesome. If we find a helmet, we should also replace that, as this one's getting fairly damaged. We'll put away all these sort of building blocks and the things that we do not need, but I'll make sure that there's nothing I'm missing. Here's my bow and arrow, actually, if we need that, so we'll replace it right there. And this is also the wrong one of the chest plates, and it always seems kind of, you know, tedious and a waste of time to sort through all your items when you're doing an end raid, but I found it's actually really important, as of course you'll go through so many different things. If you have the wrong items, then it's an issue. But look at all the shells we have just sort of sitting down here, which is super awesome. So we just got hit by that shulker, of course, but we're going to go up here and we're going to get it. And for everyone who just became a member of the channel, or even for people in the stream right now, let's try spamming the Eyecraftmc emotes. I want you to look at the emotes tab there, just the emoji button next to the chat box basically, and spam all the brand new emotes that you have now been given access to by the very generous member of our channel and member of the community Dirtbag. And yeah, just try those out as much as you can. There's all kinds of them. I think there's 12. That number may be incorrect though, but I'm fairly certain there's 12. There's some ones that people don't use very much, you know, and so just try and use those as much as possible. And actually the YouTube auto mod is saying that people are spamming, but it's fine. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to try and get this stupid shulker here. Now, this is actually a reason for a bow, is you can sometimes get into a scenario where you can only get a shulker with a bow. So like right there, we potentially could have been hit sort of permanently by this shulker, especially if we did not have on us this bow. And I hate to kind of waste the bow, but in a scenario like this, it's important to have access to it. So there we go, we just got that. And we're going to pick up the rest of that shell once we sort of descend from the roof. Now, here we have one of these, and it's just iron. That's kind of a funny loot chest, is to have, how many iron is that? That is 9 pieces of iron, so like a full iron block. I kind of like things like that, though, when you find sort of rare occurrences that don't matter. Just because it's an interesting reminder that Minecraft is a game that is full of random generation, and so because of that, finding kind of random occurrences is really pretty natural for the game. So I'll break this ender chest as well. A lot of people will not collect the ender chests, but it's a very good idea to do that, because an ender chest is made out of 8 pieces of obsidian and 1 eye of ender, and 8 pieces of obsidian are of course not the easiest to get. It takes some time to mine that obsidian, and of course to get the materials for the eye of ender as well. Now, to be fair, inside of this world, when I was finding the stronghold, I might have made just a few too many eyes of ender. I think I have probably like 29 eyes of ender that are just kind of sitting around in a chest. So, you know, in that scenario, if we had a lot of obsidian as well, would not necessarily be that important to get ourselves the rest of the ender chests there. But I think that because we don't have any obsidian, it takes a lot of time, we may as well just save some time and grab that. Now, I think there's probably 1 or 2 more shulkers in here. It looks like it. Not many. So we may as well just grab this one and then probably just head out of here. Now, thankfully, there's actually quite a few shells on the ground. There are at least 2. We'll try and get this one over here as well, as it's sort of sniping us from far away. And it always bugs me how they can teleport. I just have no idea why Mojang gave them the ability to teleport. I guess it kind of makes sense. It's like all the mobs that are inside of the end have this sort of system of teleportation, but I just don't really think it adds a lot to the mob at all. Now we're going to use a ender pearl here. I don't actually recommend doing that very often, just because unless you have feather falling, ender pearls cause a lot of damage. Actually, that's something a lot of people don't know, but it's true. Ender pearl, or feather falling, does reduce the damage of ender pearls. So if you have a feather falling enchantment on your shoes, you will have much less of an issue of getting hurt when you're using the ender pearl. So really good to remember that, as of course ender pearls do cause maybe a harder to have damage depending on your armor and all that. And it's always good to avoid that if you can. Now I think we're probably just going to fly to the next end city. I don't see too much here left. I could take a quick fly around. We've got lots of rockets, so there's definitely no issue of doing that. That's not going to be the thing we're going to run out of first. So we'll fly to here real quick, and we have this tower that we did raid, and we'll take a little look And, oh no, there are 2 chests here we have not raided, so good thing we looked. I think we must have gotten all the shulkers but forgot the chests, so good thing we looked here. We have Bane of Arthropods 5, Sharpness 5, a iron chest plate, and here we have an Efficiency 3 pickaxe, leggings, and just some other iron armor. And there is a super chat in the chat, and it is from BD Bandit for $5, and it says, I started playing like 3 months ago, and thanks to your videos, you would think I've been playing since day one. Thank you. Well, I'm really glad that my videos have helped you that much. I do think that a lot of people who have played Minecraft for a long time don't necessarily have more experience than those who have played for a less amount of time. Although, of course, it's always nice to catch up, as I feel like a lot of people assume that most people have been playing Minecraft since, let's say, maybe 2012 or 2011, but in reality, the majority of players have started playing really recently, maybe in the last 3 or 4 years. So I think we're probably gonna just leave this end city here. There are still some more shulkers, and I know I said I kind of try and get all of them, but there's gonna be so many shulkers over here, it's just gonna be a waste of time to sort of nitpick over these difficult to get shulkers. So we're gonna go over here, and we're going to go to this end ship first to get ourselves another Elytra, as our Elytra is about at half durability. We'll try and sort of get these shulkers, maybe try and defeat them with some critical attacks there. And we may as well start this time with the dragon head at the front of the ship, because why not? And that's not too much of an issue. Now, someone just commented, they said they're sad that they missed the dragon fight, but the good news is that I do have a VOD of every single one of these Survival live streams, and it's basically like a video. If you're wondering what a VOD is, it stands for Video On Demand, and so more or less I have a live stream of all my Survival Live videos, and you can find like literally 99%, if not 100% of the moments that happened from the second I pressed create on this world to right now when we're defeating the Ender Dragon, including what's going on right now. So if you are sad that you missed something, or maybe you want to see, oh, what did Eyecraftmc do when he raided a ancient city? What did I do when we were, let's say, mining for diamonds? Then you can really easily go back through there and get references for that. And actually, sort of on the topic of things that we'll be doing, or things in the future, as of course you'd think, well, what sort of is there in mainstream survival Minecraft to do after we do this end raid? What there is building. I haven't shown building almost at all in my channel, but I do enjoy building inside of Minecraft, so I thought what better thing to do as to have a couple of the streams where we're building an awesome base. But as well as that, we could build farms, we could create, let's say, giant structures and projects. We can also raid different structures that are sort of not in the main part of the game, like maybe we could do a whole episode that is about a woodland mansion raid, or maybe an ocean monument raid. So I think that doing these sort of things are going to be great ways of extending this series, as I really like doing this, and I feel like we could probably keep it up for a lot of episodes, as it seems like a lot of people enjoy it as well. So we're going to kill this last shulker right here. If we take a look, I don't think that it dropped a shell, but that's okay. Something I just thought of actually right now, because I had these sort of shulker boxes here that were blending in really well, is I have legitimately had times that I have raided an end city, and I've done exactly that. I have forgotten these shulker boxes in some random place of the end city, but because, you know, at a certain point when you're doing an end raid, you'll actually just have a massive amount of items on you. Because of that, I'll even forget that I had placed down any boxes at all, but I'll come back and I'll think, did I really only get, you know, whatever it was, let's say 3 boxes of loot from 10 end cities? Then I remembered that I'd placed down 1 or 2 boxes earlier on. And so it's always good to sort of keep track of that if you are using the shulker box method, maybe how many boxes you have. Another really good idea is to put those boxes inside of your ender chest, and so then in case you die, of course, you're going to be good. Now let's take a look. I think we have kind of a lot of random items on us, to be fair, so let's probably try and put those away. We're going to have a lot more space. Now, there's probably actually nowhere near 3 full shulker boxes of items here, but of course, you know, things stack and all that. So we'll grab this crafting table, as of course we want to kind of keep that as a resource as well. And let's go over here. Let's take a look. And someone says that I should try hardcore. I actually love the fact that I can say I should try hardcore and I'm speaking in the first and third person at the same time. But anyway, I actually have done hardcore. I did a hardcore live stream for 100k and I died in a lot. Now, I've actually done hardcore worlds that have lasted a lot longer than that. And the main reason why I died in that series is because I was mostly focusing on answering people's questions, as it was a Q&A. And I did consider making this a hardcore series. I think we've only died like twice in the entire series. So, you know, it's not impossible to say that this could have been a hardcore world. After all, we haven't died recently for a very long time in the series, probably for, I'm not sure, maybe 3 episodes, 4 episodes or something like that. And so, you know, I definitely could have done that, but I just feel like there's sort of a point where we can enjoy survival Minecraft as it is, without, let's say, having the risk of losing everything at any moment's notice and then sort of ruining the stream or ruining the series. Just because, you know, when, let's say you're recording a video of survival or of hardcore, there's a lot more ability to sort of, you know, fully focus on what you're doing, whereas on a stream, there's not as much, so the chance of dying is just naturally going to be a little bit higher. But let's go under here. And someone said, how do you use the shield if it's in your left hand? You just hold right click and then it'll basically make the shield come up. So like I'll hold right click right now, shield comes up. Inside of Bedrock, if you shift, the shield will also come up. But that's sort of different in Bedrock Edition because shields are different. If you're actually wondering what the music is we have on right now, and here we are in a death spiral room, so let's be careful. But if you're wondering what the music is right now, that is the credits music. So we actually listened to that in-game just a while ago, and something to note is that I just ran out of my first stack of food there, so once that's gone, we're sort of done. We'll have to be aware of that quite a bit. You might even eat some chorus fruit instead. But I think it's kind of appropriate to be playing that music, as of course people were just talking about the fact of course, defeating the Ender Dragon, which ties in really tightly to, let's say, first end raids. As if you're wondering, this is my first end raid in this world. This isn't the first end city, but sort of an end raid, you know, encompassing multiple end cities, getting lots of items, and we just had a bunch of super chats. So let's read those off real quick, and let's scroll up and find those. So here we go, and scroll down a bit. Then it says, can you fly down using your Elytra when under levitation effect on Java? I love that question because the answer is yes and no. So you used to be able to. And I'm not sure what the update was. It might have been like 1.16 or 1.17, but it wasn't that long ago. And when they did that, then more or less you couldn't anymore. So it used to be the case you could do that. Yeah, once you had your Elytra enabled, then, you know, the levitation effect was nothing, but they did change it now, so it's a lot more difficult. And so because of that, it's always good to be really careful. And we have this Curse of Vanishing helmet, which is nowhere near amazing, but we do need it because our current helmet is almost broken. So let's go down here. But yeah, unfortunately, they did remove that, and just that one thing actually made end raids a lot more difficult. I had to sort of change my whole end raiding strategy. Really made me integrate the water bucket a lot more into my approach. But at the end of the day, I think it does make more sense, and, you know, to sort of have more difficult things in the game is fine. I don't sort of like annoying things in the game, so for instance the ability of the Shulkers to teleport, but I wouldn't say that adds difficulty, just sort of a level of another thing to think about, more or less, trying to find those Shulkers. But yeah, unfortunately they did remove that ability. Although I'm not sure if in Bedrock it's still there, or if it ever was there. That could definitely be something interesting to take a look at, as that really does sound like a feature that would be different between Bedrock and Java, sort of those potion effect related things, those side effects. You might also be wondering what all these sort of Shulker pellet firing sounds are. And what they actually are, they're Shulkers that are outside of the end city, or sort of outside of this tower here, and they're firing at each other, as what's kind of funny is that the Shulkers will sometimes kind of fight each other. And so because of that, oftentimes, if they do that enough, you'll eventually just like go outside and you'll find like a bunch of Shulker shells on the ground. But the one reason why it's not a super good thing is that, of course, the looting effect is not applied, and even on Java where the looting effect isn't as good, it's still definitely a really important effect. And so sort of when that happens, you just don't get enough out of the Shulkers. Now a shell just fell all the way down there, so we'll make sure to grab that within 5 minutes. There's those Shulkers right there. If we had we actually do have our bow, but it's out of arrows, so if it wasn't out of arrows, that could be a good thing. We'll just grab a chorus fruit here, and we could have eaten it there. There's a lot of Shulker pellets right there. There's so many. It looks like that one super old screensaver. I'm not sure if you've seen that one before, but it's sort of where all these tubes that kind of make these patterns. But it's kind of interesting to see that with all those Shulker shells. There's so many of them after me. There's like 10 of those Shulker pellets after me, which is kind of funny. So we're gonna go back down here. Kind of starting at the bottom, going to the top seems to be the best idea. I've seen people do it the opposite way, but if we're considering the levitation effect and what that effect sort of does, giving you this kind of strong upwards motion, it's really a good idea to utilize downwards motion when you can, and so if you're going upwards already, it's really hard to go down. So that's sort of the reason why that's the case. And the same person super chatted and they said that is still available on Bedrock, which is interesting. Kind of funny that they changed a feature to make it have less parity, or maybe it's a bug that they tried fixing on both, but they only found a really good way of fixing that bug on Java. Something interesting that I did realize a while ago, it's actually really interesting, is the fact that one of the big features that Java has that Bedrock doesn't, and I would say normally Bedrock actually has more features than Java does that are exclusive to it. So a lot of people complain that Bedrock doesn't have any of these Java features, but I think in reality most people just don't know the exclusives that Bedrock does have. But either way, one of them is the spectral arrows effect. Now, spectral arrows you would assume to be something very simple, but the official reason why spectral arrows are not inside of Minecraft Bedrock is that they actually, I don't know if they can't figure out how to code it or if there's bugs with coding it, but basically difficulties in coding it into the game, which is very interesting. So that's sort of a feature I guess they have somewhat of an excuse for not adding to both. It is still funny though, since it's such a mainline part of the game. For that not to be there is quite interesting for sure. So if we did have feather falling, I'd probably be using a lot more of those ender pearls, as of course then we can really easily go around from end city to end city, but it doesn't matter that much at this stage. So we'll go down here. I don't think there's anything inside of here. There is that one shulker shell that fell down, I just remembered, and it's probably has like 2 minutes left till despawn. So even though it seems kind of useless, you know, going all the way down just to grab one shell, I don't really think that, and I think that, you know, at the end of the day, it can be somewhat difficult to get these shulker shells anyway, again, outside of, let's say, a shulker farm. So, you know, trying to keep all the ones you have and actually use them is always good. So let's grab these. Kind of funny, the eye line of the shulkers, which is that red line, if you're wondering if you ever have hitboxes on, which you can unfortunately only do in Java. I really wish all those sort of F3 commands would be in Bedrock as well. We just got very hurt there. But basically what it is that, of course, inside of Java Edition, we have these F3 commands, and one of them is to turn on the hitboxes, and you'll notice kind of on the hitboxes there, we have the fact of, just change my tab over here, but on the hitboxes we have this red line. So you'll notice there's a red line on the Enderman. It's basically where its eyes are, and we're not going to look at its eyes, we'll kind of look through the corner of its eyes. You'll notice that red line is going through where the purple line is, and so that's like their line of eyesight. Now it doesn't control that much, but there are some interesting effects that it does influence. And so for instance, it has to do with sort of like, let's say if a villager can notice that a zombie is there, if the line of eyesight matches up, there's this really interesting effect of it noticing that. So always a cool thing if you notice that on a mob, to see where its line of eyesight is. It sort of also has to do with how you could like block them from seeing something. Now here we have a lot of these shulkers again, with these really big dangerous towers. So be really careful here, I say especially careful. A trick can be in this scenario to sort of hide in the corner. Another trick actually, if we had feather falling 4, and I would definitely use it if we did, is to have full armor on, so to switch to a chest plate. But because we do not have that chest plate, it's actually much more dangerous if we don't have that. So we're going to kind of escape out of here for a second, let those shulkers kind of hit themselves for a while. We have to eat this again. And also there's 2 big things I have failed to announce here because not trying not to die from the shulkers. We'll go over here for a minute, and there's so many of these shulker pellets, it's hilarious. But anyway, it's that yet again, Dirtbag has gifted 2 things. The first one was 20 memberships, which is awesome. So 20 more people are going to be members to Eyecraftmc, and this another one is a $50 super sticker. And super stickers are actually a really cool thing that a lot of people don't use, but very, very interesting feature of the Minecraft, or of the YouTube live streaming system. And that is, of course, instead of a chat message, you can have these kind of pre-animated GIFs, which is pretty cool. So thank you, of course, very much to Dirtbag for those 2 things, and everyone else who's given super chats on this stream and other streams. Alright, we do have to be careful for a couple reasons. Now the first reason is that a lot of those shulkers are killing each other as we speak, and so the big issue is that what can happen is basically they will eventually have those shells just kind of sit there for too long and despawn because there could be a lot of dead shulkers. So we'll go back in here. You can even notice now there's like so many less shulkers than there were before, either because they've died, like for instance there's a shell on top of this shulker, so probably because another shulker died. Well, of course it's from a shulker dying, but probably from a shulker getting another shulker. But it could also, of course, be that they'll teleport kind of to really difficult to get locations. And so if you're not fairly careful and fairly quick when raiding these end cities, you can be kind of slowed down by trying to get shulkers in really difficult situations. So the good thing is, if there's not that line of eyesight, the shulkers aren't really gonna... They're not going to actively get more of these shulker pellets coming out at us, but of course the shulker pellets themselves are like, you know, full kind of tracking missiles or whatever is the way that they work, so you have to be careful with that. But let's take a look at what we have. We have Protection 3 helmet, that is better than Curse of Vanishing, so we'll switch that out, just like that. You also have iron and gold, because why not? There's always lots of good treasures. You can kind of tell already what the full list of treasures is that can be found, but it more or less is swords, pickaxes, shovels that are enchanted, and then of course, there are no axes actually, no hoes. I have no idea why either of those things are not in here, but they're not. But of course, as well as that, we have iron, emerald, gold, diamond, no lapis, no redstone, no copper, of course. There's also beetroot seeds sometimes, so it's kind of just like generic treasure, sort of what you'd assume to be treasure inside of the game, which I think is a pretty good choice by Mojang of a loot to have in the end city. Of course, a lot of structures don't have quite a bit of loot in them. I do find it funny because I think a lot of people assume that the later on in the development process that a structure is added, the better loot it should have. In fact, I think most people think that, but it's not really the case, and it doesn't really make sense either. So as example, a lot of people were mad that the ancient city didn't have a lot of loot to it, but I think that's because they were kind of thinking along the lines of, this is like the final best structure, you know, better than the end cities, better than, you know, the Woodland Mansion. Well, I mean, Woodland Mansion isn't that good, but, you know, kind of the best structure. But in reality, I think in the progression chain, you know, it has worse loot than the Nether Fortress because you can find it fairly easily. So always an interesting thing to think about is maybe every structure in the game and what part of the progression chain it fits into. Now we're going to purposely get hit there by a shulker, and it's a good reason. We're going to have to go up here and grab it. Something you will notice is that my sword is running somewhat low on durability, and that does happen a lot. And so it's always good to be really careful about that. And the reason why that happens is because you have to hit the shulkers so many times, the durability goes down really low. We also do not have Unbreaking 3. If we get enough iron for an anvil, I can totally craft that, and I will, and I'll combine this with something else, because having that looting 3 is like the most important thing we could do. Much more important than, let's say, saving that iron that we're going to be crafting into an anvil. So hopefully there'll be some sort of anvil iron throughout there. We might even have enough already, we'll find out. But of course we're getting kind of annoyingly knocked back. It's kind of frustrating because when you get stuck underneath those blocks there, it can be difficult to move, especially for crouching. So I kind of tend to crouch when I'm doing most things in the game just because it's kind of better safe than sorry, especially when you're flying around. You can maybe kind of land on the edge of a block like this instead of falling off the side. But one thing that does do is you'll get sort of smushed in the roof, and it'd be kind of a funny feature, although one I would not want to be added, but it would be more realistic if eventually what would happen is you'd actually go into crawl mode when you're kind of on the roof of something. You'll kind of get squished really flat against that to make it even more difficult. But like I said, I wouldn't actually want that inside the game. It'd be too difficult, but it would be kind of a more realistic thing to have for sure. So we have another shell. We're getting lots of shells, 22 shells. I think we have like 30-ish inside of the shulker box. So I feel like that by the end of this end raid, which is more or less going to end when we're running out of food, which is probably pretty close since this end city is massive. I mean, we'll see, of course, but I think that generally, once we're out of food, it's going to be a lot more dangerous to do that. So I guess one big thing we should probably focus on is being careful with that. Now, something you might have just noticed is that there's 2 shulkers here, but once we kill this one, there's going to be a third. And that's actually because of a somewhat new feature of the game, and it's one of the reasons why shulker farms are now possible, and that is shulker duplication. That shulker actually sort of fired that shulker pellet when it shouldn't have. You'll notice it was closed, but the idea is that if a shulker hits another shulker with a shulker pellet, then there is a chance for that shulker to sort of duplicate. So it's kind of an interesting feature. I'm not 100% sure why they added it, probably so that people wouldn't have to necessarily do, like, let's say, end resets, but because Elytra are, of course, unrenewable, which they definitely should be unrenewable, it kind of defeats the purpose, but still, interesting feature for sure. And that's how shulker farms work, is you just bring 2 shulkers back to the overworld, and you let them hit each other, and then you let those duplicated shulkers be killed somehow, have those shells be collected, and there is your shulker shell farm, and they can be incredibly efficient. There's one on my survival world, which if you actually want to join that survival world, I do have a survival SMP, and everyone might think they know about it, but it's back up now. So there's a lot of people that did play on it. They did not realize it went down for a while because of some unfortunate technical issues, but it is back up now. So it's play.eyecraftmc.com. It's for Java and Bedrock. So if you play on Bedrock and you're always thinking, it's so frustrating when these sort of creators and people I watch and things I hear about are for Java only, like let's say maybe a Hypixel. The good news is that this server is for Bedrock and for Java, and it's really fully compatible. Even your skins will load, things like that. So definitely, if you're wanting to play some survival Minecraft, then feel free to hop on there. And you can get whitelisted by joining my Discord server. Now we're going to keep raiding around here to sort of find our location. It's always funny when you see these Endermen on top of the end cities, because they're not really supposed to be there. I think what it is they cannot spawn on top of these blocks, but they can teleport onto these blocks. That's sort of how you see them on top of there. Now I'm going to take a quick look at our inventory again, see sort of what items we have on us. Now I usually suggest doing this kind of thing. And the reason why is that when you're checking what your inventory is, you can get a good idea of what items you should put away and what items you shouldn't. And so, for instance, right now, of course, like something like a saddle, it's completely unstackable. It's like a horrible item to be clogging up our inventory with. We may not necessarily put all the items away just yet, as of course, getting these shulkers just going to go in the same stack isn't going to matter very much, but eventually you always want to make sure to have a full inventory, especially since I've had times I've, let's say, broken a chest, the items have flown everywhere, and because of that I haven't really been able to pick them all up. Sometimes even items can fall into the void because of that. I had that happen once, not while end raiding, but when fighting wither skeletons in the nether. And what happened is I fought this wither skeleton and it did drop a skull, but because my inventory was full, the skull kind of, popped off from it or whatever. And the issue was that it basically, they sort of have a random direction they'll go, right? So what basically happened is it fell into the lava as it was kind of on the edge of one of those those nether fortress kind of long sort of walkways that are outside over the lava. Usually over the lava anyway, not always. And it just fell right off the edge there into lava. So something like that's always obviously quite frustrating as well. That's why it's a good idea to have great inventory management. I find it kind of interesting actually that a lot of creators have been talking about why there should be inventory update. Personally, I don't really think there should be one. I mean, I guess there could be one. I wouldn't be unhappy with that. It doesn't really seem like a need to me, just because, even storing things in real life is an issue. I mean, there wouldn't be whole businesses around storing and, waste management and things like this if that wasn't true. And so, by having everything in the game just boil down to making the only real part of the game that's really sort of not able to be made completely creative mode, just being, let's say, building and a few limited things. Challenges are good inside the game, and so I feel like, I don't see any fatal flaws in the inventory system. Of course, yeah, some improvements would be great, and things like Shulker Boxes have definitely improved it. But, making things too easy, which I have seen some people sort of want, I feel like is never the best idea. So we're getting incredibly hurt here, of course, from all these stupid shulker pellets. But we're going to go over here, and we're going to get this shulker that is up here. And it did not drop a shell, of course, but there's about 3 down there. So have to be careful. But again, once all of their shulker pellets have not been fired, you'll notice they're not shooting anymore. That's because there's no line of sight. So we're doing pretty good because of that. I'm going to go over here, and basically we have here Thorns 2, Protection 4, which is not better than what we have. It's actually about the same. Protection 3, Depth Strider 3, that's slightly worse. We have that. We have some gold, which is good. And some random items. This is sort of the point again where we want to be getting our inventory sorted out, craft ourselves a shulker box, and then from that shulker box, of course, we can store more items. So we'll do that right here. And we can see we have so many of these shulker shells, 28 of them, now 26. Of course, we don't have any less shulker shells when we craft them. They're just kind of converted into an unstackable format, which is not ideal. So put this away. Anything kind of somewhat worn out. Our elytra, we switched to a new one a little while ago, so the old one is kind of in one of our shulker boxes there. We'll go over here and we'll put these away. And basically, we will take a look for any other things that we can sort of clear out of our inventory. And that's sort of the whole process of end raiding, is getting a lot of items, putting them away, getting a lot of items, putting them away, until again, either food or fireworks run out. Those are the two big things that will run out for you. So let's take a look here. We're definitely good on fireworks, by the way, on this specific run, which is good. So if we wanted to end raid again at some point in the future, which we do not necessarily have to do, but if we wanted to, we definitely would have the ingredients to do that already. So let's take a look here. We have certain shulkers that are somewhat close. We'll try and, at this point, start from the top and go to the bottom. Problem is, if we're hit, as we just were, before we fall down, it's a little bit more difficult to descend. So we're going to try the water method, just because I feel like that's going to be a lot better. As to place down water and go down, you'll notice that one shulker made sort of a hurt noise and teleported away. That's because water can make shulkers teleport. So you want to be careful about that, because if they're hit by water, it can make them teleport, and of course, once they've teleported, then it's much more difficult to find them, as they usually teleport to a difficult location, oftentimes on the outside of the structure, and even then we just heard them get hurt. So probably right down here is a shulker shell, and I think there just was one there, although I did not catch that. But we'll take a look. Here's one of these. It's kind of interesting, actually, these kind of straight pathways. I found those are more rare. I haven't actually seen one of those for a long time, kind of a long straight pathway like that. They're usually angled, so maybe just not noticing it, but it does seem a little bit unique there, which is kind of cool. We'll mine up here, of course. I know some people like kind of taking down an entire end ship and then rebuilding it somewhere else, which I've always found to be quite an interesting concept. Now right here, if we had not have killed that shulker, would be the perfect scenario for a chorus fruit. We just used one again, of course, and it's not always the best idea because you can teleport to the ground. But let's say right there, we get to a point where the shulker will just permanently be throwing the shulker pellets at us, so we just cannot get down any other way but that. Now there's a shulker shell. We could get it with an ender pearl, because why not? There we go. But again, we don't want to use too many of these. So let's take a look what we have left. There shouldn't be too much. I will take a look downwards and see what we can find. And someone says they want tips on basically how to be a YouTuber, sort of how to be a monetized YouTuber. I'd say the tip is to be very consistent. You want to do it for a long time. So I had made, I think, over 300 videos before I was monetized. And, you know, monetization is also not the sort of final goal of a channel. It really shouldn't be. I think the final goal should be making videos that people enjoy and making videos that you enjoy making, you know, because YouTube's no better than any other job if you dislike it, right? So I think that the good idea is to find something that can be popular, is something that you would enjoy making for a long time, and is something that sort of has the potential for fairly quick growth compared to, let's say, something that might take years and years and years to eventually get the subscribers for. So we're going to mine this again. Funny enough, I feel like we're mining slower when we're levitating. That's probably true. I think it is true, actually, just looking at it right there. I feel like that's probably similar to, let's say, when you're swimming, it's slower to mine things. So I'm not sure if aqua affinity would potentially make you mine quicker when you're floating. That would be kind of funny if it did. Oh, there was a shulker right there. I did not notice that. Kind of was trying to stop me in my path, but it would be very interesting if aqua affinity made flotation mining quicker. Now we're gonna go up here. It's kind of funny how the shulker was in our pathway there and just yoinked me off the edge there, but we're gonna go right back up and get that shulker, of course. And we're still running low on food. Again, I could technically start eating chorus fruit at this point, but it's incredibly inconvenient. So what we may do, it was just one hit too, what we may end up doing is getting to a point where we just maybe grab the loot chests and the elytra from just a couple more cities, since I feel like I'd probably want to not stop till I have at least 3 elytra, maybe 5, so we don't have like a really good reason to instantly go back to the end city to have to raid it to get more of them. So I always suggest that actually if you have the capability, if you're not really near death, you know, of course if you're let's say in a dangerous situation, maybe you're almost out of food or you have really bad armor, definitely do not risk losing all of your loot For instance, where I'm right here, I'm actually risking a lot if I die, because not only do I of course have the loot, but I also have 71 levels from defeating the Ender Dragon. So something I said in the last episode was not able to do because I just, funny enough, could not find lapis. You wouldn't think of lapis to be the limiting factor, but it was. I was not able to enchant that down. So I just want to be careful about that and sort of try and not risk any more than you need to when you're in a certain scenario. Now, I think there's just one more shulker here. I don't see any shells on the ground, so none of them might have dropped any or might have grabbed them all. Let's grab this one right here, though. I think it just teleported outside the radius we can get it from, but we'll go back up here. I also think there was another one of these shulker towers that we sort of did loot with the shulkers, but I do not think we looted the chests. Now, something I could do, it's kind of risky, but I could do is you can actually use a firework to get up here like this. You'll notice I took a little bit of damage, and if you're not careful enough, you can definitely get into a death spiral that way as well. And I would say that full damage related deaths are probably the most common, actually, not shulker related, because the shulkers can of course help you die of fall damage, and they'll definitely try to help you die of fall damage, but they do not usually directly kill the player. So let's take a look around here. We have this tower here, and we probably raided it. We'll just take a look, because why not? If not, we'll know instantly, because something really important to do is to always break those chests, and the chests are not here, so we did raid it. There's a shulker, though. Probably teleported back, since I think we probably would have gotten it if it was there before. Did it drop a shell? I do not know, but if it did, it's not on the ground anyway, so we would have picked it up. We can definitely hear shulkers fighting outside the tower. Oh, there's an enderman right there, have to be very careful. This shulker right here, actually, this must be unrated, at least somewhat unrated. Yeah, it is unrated, so we'll grab this. You'll notice actually there was an enderman in the way and it disappeared. The reason why is that endermen will instantly teleport away if they're hit by a projectile. In fact, they can't actually be hit by a projectile. Something funny is if you try and hit an enderman with an arrow and you do not look in its eyes, it won't even get mad, it'll just teleport away. So sort of as an example of how endermen are really just have the perfect ability to avoid projectiles. You can literally shoot them with them and they won't even notice that you're trying to hit them, as long as you do not look them in the eyes, of course, and they wouldn't even be noticing that. They would just be noticing that you're looking at them in the eyes. So I see all those shulkers on the edge there. There's about 3 of them, actually 4 of them. No wonder we could hear so many. Some of those might even be duplicated shulkers, which would of course mean they also have full health. You have to be careful about things like that when they kind of teleport away from under you. I feel like this is almost fully raided though. This is quite a big end city, so we could go down and get some more. Again, I feel like we definitely got the treasure from this tower. I'm 99% sure we got it from here. We'll look in the 3rd tower, and I know we got it from there too, because I remember that sort of long, thin tower. And we'll look over here for a second, because we might have left something here, we might not have, but always good to double check those 2 loot chests. But no, I think we did. Okay, so we should be fine here. There's probably a little bit more, but it's okay. And I was about to say we should try and not get hit by that, but we did. So I believe if we take a good look around here, we can kind of see the end city we came from before that, and the one we should be going to. So there's this one here. I think that's the one we came from. I'm pretty sure. So we'll go back there, because I believe there was another end city, a really small one, that was kind of invisible radius. Very important to remember also when you're flying. Check your elytra durability, because you would not have mending at this stage. And so it is very, very likely that because of that, you can actually really easily die, and in fact a horrible way to die, because you'll fall into the void, and then of course all your items are gone. So let's go around here. I'm 99% sure this is rated also. Yeah, it's definitely rated, because I cannot see the chests. So now what we kind of can do is we can look for another end city. There's a stage of it I haven't talked about yet. We're going to go back to this other end city here as well. I also did raid this one, but you notice it has an end ship. It was definitely a very good end city when we did raid it. And from here, we're going to hope to try and see another one in our sort of visual radius to see if that's there. So we'll go over here. There's definitely a lot of shulker pellets that are flying around, and I can only see that one over there. So I believe south was the direction. No, it must have been north. So we were going south. So it must be a south portal. So we're going to try going this way, because I believe south is going to be the best direction to look. As long as you sort of know the coordinates of your portal, you're going to be good. Your sort of end gateway, that is. I think I'm not actually going at a right angle either, which you always kind of want to go with one of the sort of main directions, north, south, east, west. Right here again, very important to be aware of that elytra durability. It runs out super quick. I think you have like 10 minutes when there's no Unbreaking 3 or Mending. So 10 minutes sounds like a lot, it's not really a lot. So go this way. Very interesting generation here, actually. This is a kind of very thin and strange shape. I love how there's a couple places in the Minecraft world, like I would say you have the End Islands, you have the Shattered Savanna, and sometimes in a forest biome. I've noticed it's just a standard forest you'll get this, although that was somewhat removed in 1.18, but you'll have just this place where they really do not care about the world generation being normal. So I love they just sort of turn the craziness factor all the way up, and it's always kind of fun to be in biomes like that, be in areas like that, because then you can get this really cool, you know, floating islands or your generation that shouldn't really be there. And I feel like that kind of weird, unnatural terrain being mixed in with the more natural, realistic terrain is almost like a kind of stylistic element of Minecraft's generation as a whole. So go over here, and people are saying it's definitely a very small little end city. It definitely is. I've actually seen slightly smaller and even worse. So this one's nice because we get the treasure. Although I've also seen ones. This is a lot of gold and diamonds. Look at that. Fortune 2 shovel if that's useful, which it's not, but that's okay. We can disenchant it. I've seen one where you sort of have that initial starting building, which you always have, you know, the sort of 2 shulkers at the base. There's no loot chests, but it's kind of shaped like the ones that would have the loot chest. And then off of that is literally just one of those towers. It has the shulker at the top, just a single shulker, and there's sort of the parkour to it. So there's literally 3 shulkers, and that's it. There's nothing else to it at all. Maybe some end rods, of course. So always kind of funny that way. I've also always wondered what these are for, and I've never been able to figure it out, but these sort of strange stairs that generate on this first building, maybe just to tell you that it is the first building, but like they don't cover anything. I kind of used to thought that they would maybe cover one of these, but it doesn't. It's a very kind of strange there. Yeah, this is the initial structure that they all have. Now we're going to get these shulkers right here. Look at that, that one just killed that shulker for me, but it could have also duplicated that shulker. And I hear it now, it teleported away. We may as well get it since there's like, I think 6 shulkers in this entire structure, and 2 loot chests. But you know, not actually horrible loot really, so we'll grab this one. And, oh, there's an enderman. I'll have to be careful of that. That could definitely kill us. So we'll go south again. You know, not always the best idea to just stick one direction and go with it, but I found that, you know, why not? It tends to be a good way of kind of remembering your way back anyway. And although we're maybe technically going further out, we could maybe go this direction, or maybe this direction to actually lower this coordinate to 0. That could be a good idea. But generally, I would say that you tend to want to not go too far out, and apparently going this direction was a good idea. Look at that. That's very amazing, actually. I did not plan that. And we have decent density, not the biggest, but it's pretty big. So we have 2 main towers. It looks like maybe 3, if I can't see the third one. No, it is 2. And we have an end ship, which is, of course, the most important loot, because we not only get 2 loot chests, we also, of course, get the Elytra, the dragon head, 2 shulkers, and some end rods. So, like, all the greatest stuff in one sort of structure. So we'll grab this shulker first. Kind of get that pretty quick here. And there we go. And then we can go downwards and grab the rest. And let's take a look. Someone says a baby ender dragon as a new mob. That would be really interesting. A lot of people have talked about that because of... Oh goodness, there's a shulker right there. A lot of people have talked about that because we have, of course, inside of the game, the dragon egg. So you'd assume if there's a dragon egg, there's a baby dragon. But Mojang never added a baby dragon into the game, and I feel like at this stage, probably won't be added, although maybe there's a small chance if there's an end update, which there could be as 1.21, 1.22. Although I was legitimately surprised that 1.20 wasn't an end update. It was actually sort of, that was like one of my top guesses. So I'm kind of interesting that it's not. And we'll find out what happens from there. But that could happen in an end update potentially. And the idea of hatching, of course, the Ender Dragon egg is a really cool one, especially since there's only one of them. But of course, there's not really any use for it as of right now. We'll get the shulker through here real quick. We're kind of rating it backwards. I generally get the most important loot first, go to the least important. So for instance, the shulkers being kind of the least important. Really, the brewing stand's probably the least important. we'll get this shulker right here. There is our nether pair of elytra. Again, we're going to switch it out, even though it's kind of annoying to have all these half-dead pairs of elytra. Much more important to have a lot of annoying pairs of elytra that we can fix later, versus, let's say, not, and then we're going to die because one of the elytra broke. And we'll see what's in here. Protection for Unbreaking 3-Depth Strider, that's good, we'll switch that out. In terms of leggings, Projectile Protection 4 is good because most of our damage is coming from shulkers. But hopefully, again, we will get ourselves some of the Feather Falling 4 boots pretty quick. Let's go up here. I hear a shulker. Now, they might have duplicated. In fact, they must have, because I feel like this is the third one maybe the fourth one actually I've killed up here. So definitely they're duplicating. I'm going to take a look around. Kind of find a good place to start from. I feel like this end city sort of is in two parts, this part and this part. So we can maybe start with this part here, because it connects on nicely to this sort of dock, or whatever this is. I think it's like an end city, end ship dock, or whatever, where the end ship can come in here. It is kind of interesting. We'll also try and fly up here if we can make it. Oh, just barely, like half a block we were able to make it by. Well, we'll kind of try and hide, so you'll notice just that shulker there is going to fire at us. None of the other ones are, because they can't see us. So we'll go over here. We have here this horrible Curse of Vanishing and Curse of Binding and Mending, so good luck getting that off if you put it on. Never any good to do that. I always, you know, something I think of which is really crazy is if you're playing a legitimate hardcore world, if you had a Curse of Binding jack-o'-lantern be put on your head, that's literally the end of the world. Like, there's no way to fix it. That is the end, right? Because they'll never break. There's no durability to them. But of course, you know, there's nothing you can do to get it off unless you die, and you can't die in hardcore or the world's gone. And so it's like literally the worst possible thing, because you can kind of still play. You're basically tortured by that pumpkin vision, and even if you were to get a resource pack that took that off, you still would never have that really important benefit of having the, of course, armor values that a helmet provides, which is kind of interesting. Someone says, at Eyecraftmc, why do you think shulkers have a similar texture to ancient debris on the bottom? Is ancient debris fossilized shulkers? Well, I've never noticed that, actually. The texture is similar, sort of with... Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, sort of like with the spiral look, sort of the swirl look. Yeah, I never correlated that. I'm not sure if they have anything to do with each other, but it is an interesting theory for sure. It could be anything from an art style similarity to, yeah, maybe a full-on bit of lore there, which is pretty interesting. So I would say that they're probably not fossilized shulkers, just because, you know, shulkers already have sort of a byproduct from them. We kind of know what a shulker can do. It can turn into a shulker box, whereas ancient debris is like a metal, we would assume. But it's still a very interesting idea, because we do have these sort of undiscussed texture differences, a lot of undiscussed lore. We actually just saw a shulker duplicate right in front of us there. You'll notice one teleported away, but the other one stayed right there. So it is good when they sort of duplicate in a sense, because like we could probably almost set up like an instant shulker farm that we have to, of course, manually kill the shulkers for. So it is crazy like how much of the game's sort of you know, ideal way of playing was really changed by the ability for shulkers to duplicate. Now let's take a look around here. We're going to use an ender pearl this time, just because I don't really want to stay at the bottom the entire time. We'll try and get these shulkers as we go up. There's definitely a lot of them duplicating here, but again, why not? We need lots of shulker shells, so that's always a good thing. We can get that. And we might even have to use the ender pearl again, but we'll use water this time. A little bit easier, a little bit safer. In fact, a lot bit safer, because we don't have the damage from that. And there's all these sort of shulker shells that are on the ground here that we'll have to pick up as well. We're definitely getting a lot of shulker shells. I'll have to count them once we're done with this tower here. So we'll grab this one as well. Take a look. Someone said maybe ancient debris is a distant cousin. A distant cousin of the shulkers? I mean, maybe if the ancient debris is a fossil. I'm not sure if it is a fossil. I would say personally I don't think it is, but it is an interesting theory, for sure. And I guess it would make some sense. Well, I feel like because we already sort of have fossils, it probably isn't one, but you never know. It's kind of what I like about Minecraft's lore, is that it's not complete. In fact, it's incredibly incomplete, incredibly sort of fragmented, which is a good thing. because then people can make up their own sort of lore to fit the pieces together, and that's really at the core of it, you know, sort of a core part of Minecraft anyway, is customization. So I like that quite a bit. I'll go over here, grab these 2 shulkers that are on this, again, another one of those sort of straight-ish towers. It does go upwards though, so I think the straight pathway ones are really rare. I'm gonna go grab this shulker here. And once we kill this one, we'll probably get our items sorted again. Of course, the shell goes right off the edge, as is tradition for that to happen, and be annoying. And we're going to go over here, and there's another shulker, of course, because we got like a half block too high. We can't even hit it. Well, I guess we can hit it once, but sort of an annoying scenario as well. Like, without Elytra, that would be very deadly right there. So, in fact, we're actually going to eat a chorus fruit. We can instantly land with chorus fruit with Elytra. Look at that. No damage. Perfect. We're going to look for that shell that fell down. We'll turn on our hitboxes, look for any small sort of hitbox around here, and I would look upwards to try and kind of remember where it would fall from. We have this added danger of the Enderman, so we're not going to do that, but we are going to grab these, sort of grab the potential shells from there, and there we go. And there should be a shell just on the ground. I guess now that we're levitating, we can kind of view it from above. It might have also landed on the roof of another one of the structures. I've seen that one happen before. I see something. Oh, that's an Enderman head. It kind of looked like an item. So I'm not sure if we can find it or not, but no, that's okay. It probably is on top of another one of the structures. That does tend to happen. So I think we've raided this tower, but not the other one. So we're going to go over here, kind of again reverse raid from this direction, from the top of this tower here. There's some kind of fun banners on here. I've seen people grab those before as loot. Personally, I've never really been that interested in those banners there, as of course, although you can clean off the texture from those, make it be just a magenta banner, it is still quite interesting. Someone says they saw someone talking about how maybe the chorus trees are some strange relative / variation of beetroot seeds. It might explain why beetroot seeds are part of the loot table in the end. An interesting theory. I'm not sure if there's really anything to that other than the fact that there are the beetroot seeds in the end. But that is, again, what I was sort of saying before. Something I do like is the fact that we have no way of proving or disproving any theory, really, unless of course new evidence comes in, which it like never does. And so because of that, you know, maybe it is beetroot seeds, you know, and maybe it's not, but either way, we'll really never know. And so it is always cool to come up with sort of unique ideas of, you know, why things in Minecraft are potentially the way that they are, because we don't really know that. And even from the fact of like, why can't villagers build? You know, obviously there's a technical reason, which is it'd be a horrible idea, but there is the practical reason of then why are villages there, why do they exist, you know. I would even find interesting maybe, you know, something as minor as, let's say, villagers could rebuild their houses. Now, if they're fully destroyed, maybe they couldn't, but if like some of the blocks are left of like the original blocks, sort of like how, you know, place down tree leaves will not despawn, but naturally generated ones are, they can sort of have a block state difference for those villager building items. So if a creeper comes and explodes their house, maybe over like, you know, an hour or two, they would like really slowly just walk by and an item or a block sort of appears as kind of an interesting little thing to say that the villagers do have the ability to build, even though it wouldn't really be game breaking. Although I suppose people would probably just use that to make lots of farms, and that's kind of one unfortunate thing, is that farms are a great part of Minecraft, but I think it would be good if there was kind of a way to farm proof certain features, you know. So for instance, let's say the ability for maybe villagers to rebuild things, you know, that had already been built very simply, not to, you know, be too game breaking. But I feel like in the current system, of course, people would just farm that like crazy, and then they'd have to get rid of it. I think that's actually one of the reasons why the Rascal might have not won, or at least one of the reasons why there is an issue with the Rascal in the Minecraft Live 2022 mob vote, and that's the fact that the Rascal itself had a mechanic that, in my opinion, would be really easy to exploit, sort of make like automatic farms out of. And, you know, nothing wrong with an automatic farm, but if it's giving you, let's say, you know, diamonds or other, you know, sort of mining related items, even if it's just iron tools, you could still make like a really good iron farm out of just sort of harnessing some Rascals, kind of making a mechanic where you'd maybe move around with a minecart to harvest them, and then go from there. Now this is another death spiral moment. Again, not really in a death spiral, but we have to be careful because we could be, as there's so many of these stupid things. In fact, we might even just turn down our volume a little bit, down to like 50% there. Although I think it doesn't really matter since half the stream it's been at 75, but that's okay. We'll grab this. I think we're getting a little bit less hurt now too, because we do have, thankfully, these protection 4 boots. Our armor's looking okay, but those leggings are getting a little low. So we'll probably switch leggings in a minute here. Of course, with the technically able to be infinitely duplicated shulkers there, it makes this more difficult. So let's take a look here. What we should do, I guess we should probably fly down here, sort of try and grab that. Of course, the duplicated shulkers also have full health. We'll go back down here though, try and get really low. Always good to start low on these sorts of things and go back up. That one just sort of automatically farmed itself for us, which is kind of cool. So we'll grab this one, and this one should be gone pretty quick. There we go. And we'll grab this one right here. And this will be gone pretty quick as well. And we're just out of range, maybe like a quarter block out of range there, but we'll grab the last one. There we go, it just fell down. Always good to be aware of if you are falling, if you don't have feather falling, because activating that elytra with your spacebar or whatever your jump key is on the version of Minecraft that you play, super important to not dying. So we'll go back up here. Now, I guess we'll have to use a rocket. We could use water. We may as well use water. The song that's playing right now in the background always reminds me of space. I don't know about you, but there's just a very sort of space-like sound to it, just the way that kind of space music traditionally sounds. I'm not sure why. It just reminds me of that, which I guess sort of makes sense since this is an ocean song. I forget the exact name of it, but I believe it's either Shuniji, Axolotl, or I forget the last one, but it's one of those three. And I kind of like that, the ocean music sound, which it sort of matches to the end I mentioned too, since it's kind of empty and unknown. We have that bit of similarity. So we'll get this last shulker. I think this is the last one anyway. Maybe there's 1 or 2 more, but not many more, it doesn't look like, that are at least within visible range. We'll use our water bucket here to kind of get at this shulker right here. Just got itself. There we go. It saves lots of time. And we'll just... we almost were able to do it. Sometimes you can kind of crouch underneath a ledge like that. We'll go onto the roof and there we go. It fell down. And we will grab the shulker, and we have that shell also. And we have so many shells. We're also almost out of food, I just noticed, so we're going to have to be careful about that pretty soon here. We're going to probably lock ourselves inside of a building here, just so we don't die for like a minute or something. There we go. So let's take a look at what we have. Let's analyze our situation again. Always good to sort of do that in these kinds of scenarios, because you don't want to lose any of the sort of items that you have, especially, I think probably our next step should be to place down one of those under chests and get all of our shulkers in there. So if we do die, we have all that loot, because those shulkers have so many valuables in them. Let's put those away. We have here 5 fully filled shulkers, and in fact 6 fully filled shulkers of treasure, which is so much treasure, it's crazy. We're also going to craft maybe 2 more shulker boxes, just because why not? And inside of those boxes, we can then, of course, place more items. Look at that, 40 total shulker shells. That's not counting any ones that we probably put inside of these chests too. So it's not actually unlikely that we may have all the way up to an entire stack of shulker shells, which is pretty cool. So let's break those. Here's kind of a question for everyone in the chat there. Have you ever raided the end? Or maybe are you watching this video on replay or on the live stream to know how to raid the end? I'd be very interested to see that. I feel like technically an incredibly small percentage of Minecraft players even go to the end, but of course that's counting people that have played the game once, or have maybe even only opened up the game and not even opened up a world. So I'd be very interested to hear if, the majority of people here have actually raided the end, or if this is sort of a foreign experience to them of end raiding. I also think we're almost done with this end city. In fact, we're basically done with it already. I'm not sure if there's too much of a reason to sort of suffer through the rest of this. We might get like a couple more of these shulkers. We're going to be really big on our shield, because our food is like only at 13, and 13 is not a good number of food to have, very low number of food. So look at that, it just kind of went right through the shield there. They can be quite annoying that way. Now I think there's no shulkers up there. Actually, maybe there's a couple. I can't see any. So we're only on 12 baked potatoes now. We're going to fly away. We're going to kind of go back to where we were. Yeah, I guess there's probably some treasure in there, actually. We'll take a look. In fact, there very likely is some treasure in here. In fact, there definitely is. Yeah, there we go. So we'll grab that. probably going to almost run out of all our food right here. We could use the chorus fruits, but we can teleport onto the ground, so it's not perfect. Kind of stuck in that crouch position, which is always unideal. And with no firework rockets, it's a good thing we have water, because we can use that water to kind of get out of this annoying trap as it is. So even if our feet are in water, actually, we'll still be able to walk normally. So that's kind of interesting. It's like just if a little bit of it is touching your feet, then you're completely fine. And now we're not even having the levitation effect anymore. We're going to go over here and we are going to grab that shulker. And we are going to get the rest of the ones that are around here. We'll grab this one. This one is almost dead. There we go. And let's see what's in these chests. We have, look at this treasure in it. Look at all the amazing items in this ender chest. Of course, ender chests are a universal chest, but it's kind of cool to have those throughout this structure. I think it's obviously very useful for the player, but also kind of lore building, because the only place in the entire game, as far as I know, in fact I'm 99% sure of this, that we have those ender chests is of course the end cities. And so because of that, by having those ender chests be there, it kind of tells us that whatever the civilization was that lived in these end cities, whether that was humanoid or maybe shulker or enderman, whatever it was definitely very advanced, because they not only had brewing, we have proof of that of course in the end ships, but they also had enchanting, they had diamonds. They must have originally been in the overworld, or how they have, diamond armor and diamonds and, diamond items. Maybe diamond armor they could have synthesized somehow, but the actual items themselves really only able to be gotten by mining, perhaps even the same civilization that made the abandoned mine shafts. That could be where they got all the treasures that we see in these. So it definitely is really fun to sort of think of the possibilities that are somewhat suggested by the way that Minecraft's world works. Now, we'll go back down here. There might be 2 shulkers at the base. I think we got them though. Yeah, we did. So we're fairly far out. Let's try and maybe roughly make our way back. We're going to go this way first, see if there's anything there. These end cities kind of tend to generate in parallel, but it's not that specific. So we can take a look though, sort of on our fly mode there, we can look around and see everything. Checking our durability of everything, of course, to be careful. Also checking that we're not looking at any endermen. We're only on 10 baked potatoes, so this last end city will definitely be the only one we can get, and then we're going to have to go back. Actually, head back to our base, because, we basically still have just defeated the Ender Dragon, and so because of that, we have so many things to do, really, an insane amount of things. But it's always nice to have that amazing sort of bonus, that jump, that boost into late game Minecraft, because of the fact that we have all these awesome items provided to us by those end cities. So we're going to probably travel this way approximately. We want to get slightly out of the way. Now we might have raided this here. Actually, it's funny because we didn't. Early on in the stream, I mentioned something about that I had seen end cities smaller than the one that people were talking about, and I really think this is the literal smallest we could have. So this entire end city, I already know, will have 3 shulkers in it and no chests. So, not very good loot, but I mean, they do their best. It's kind of funny though to have these microscopic end cities just did not generate correctly. I mean, they did generate correctly, it's not a glitch, but they maybe had problems starting this end city colony, or maybe just a small private home of some rich shulker or enderman that lived here before they maybe got corrupted into their current form. It's hard to say for sure. Okay, be careful here, because a sweeping edge could actually hit that enderman. So we got, there we go, there's the entire end city looted very quick. So I guess that's technically not our last end city, so technically that was untrue. But you actually noticed there, so I teleported away and I took fall damage, and I'm so glad that happened, because it illustrates something I was saying earlier, which is the fact that the chorus fruits do not get rid of fall damage if you've already sort of gotten to a certain velocity, right? So if you're already flying pretty quick, you won't get rid of that. Now this could actually be the one we did raid before. It's like the 2 super small end cities. There's that one there, there's this one here. So I think we got this one already, just because it was sort of on our way here already, but there is a chance we haven't, so we'll take a look, and why not? I mean, if it's not, I guess that's technically a couple more things, but it does look like this is the one we've already, or maybe it's not. We'll take a look. I do see a shulker. No, it's not the one we've gotten. So we just have a lot of these small ones today. That's kind of fun. We'll see what's in here. Lots of iron, armor, all kinds of interesting sort of items. We're getting a little bit hurt here. We'll be careful. We'll eat some of our last potatoes. I kind of want to get a last one with an end ship, So I'm probably not going to stop till I get one more of those, since I think we only have 3 Elytra, maybe even 2. I think it's 3 though, which to me isn't really enough. So I'm going to try and get at least 4. Then if we die with it on, which I'm sure we will at some point, we don't have nothing. And also then, of course, we can have a spare just in case we want to sort of have another way to access it. So we'll go back down here. Our sword's also almost broken, so, you know, it's kind of a good thing to not completely destroy that. So we'll go over here and we're going to break this. There is a shell. See if we can get a shell from this one right here. It's almost always possible to get most of these as you're going up, and to sort of just be careful with that. So we'll go over here and we'll grab this one as well. And it teleported away, of course. So one kind of got onto the roof, which is at least easy to get to. I think this one is outside. It's kind of funny, actually. We can see it. It's like looking at us. It doesn't know how to get to us. So we'll just go like this and we'll just hit it like that. And it did not drop a shell, but we'll make sure to have its shulker pellet there not hit us either. So that's pretty good, though. I just heard a shulker somehow hit an enderman too, which is interesting. So we'll take a look at that. And it's so awesome to see everyone using the Eyecraftmc emotes in the chat. Again, very generously. Now, a large amount of people have that membership. And if you do not have a membership and you want to be a membership of my channel, then there's a join button next to the subscribe button. That gives access to all kinds of awesome things, but as well as that, it directly supports the channel. Now look what we have in front of us. 3 end cities. And I don't think we've raided any of them. Now we can't, unfortunately, raid all of them, but we're going to see what we can do. So if this end city is unraided, which actually, no, I think we have been here. Oh, maybe we haven't. That'd be crazy if we hadn't, because there's a lot of stuff here. Oh, it looks like we have, because I don't see the shulkers there. So we must have already raided this one. We'll take a double check. Yeah, we definitely raided this. So I guess if we want to find another one... Actually, did we get the stuff in these chests? That'd be kind of funny if we forgot. We did not forget. So we'll go over here. It does seem like there was another end city I missed, like a real small one. We'll kind of try and go like a weird direction, though. So I'm going to say, like, maybe this direction? Or maybe we'll kind of go positive. So if we go this direction here, we'll try and find one more end city. Something I'll sometimes do on certain worlds is I'll use a seed finder. But at the end of the day, I think that, you know, naturally finding these end cities as the game sort of has them, you know, naturally able to be found just by flying around is the best idea. Now we're just going to grab the treasure here because we do not have enough sort of food value to not... maybe not die, but to not, you know, waste all of our food items on this. So we'll just kind of put away junk items for now so we can kind of finish up that. Put away the glass there. That's pretty good. And then we're going to go to this little micro end city, I guess. We don't really have to, but we may as well. It's kind of fun. And see what's there. If this one is also unrated, that'd be really funny. It does look like it is. So we'll go here. We'll get the amazing loot that is 3 shulkers, and that's literally it. So we'll grab this. I guess we technically do want to leave like a couple shulkers fairly close by that are available. So if we ever did want to make a shulker shell farm on this world at literally any point without having to reset the end, then that would be possible. So we'll go up this kind of complicated parkour, or we'll just, you know, use a water bucket to go up it, because why not? And then from there we can get ourselves this final shulker, or maybe try and get one of those ones that teleported away depending on where they are. Kind of funny to see actually that shulker is like partially waterlogged there, but there's its shell, just dropped down. And we can just kind of grab that shell in just about a second here. And there we go. And basically, there should be some sort of hiding shulkers around here that we can just easily grab the shells from. And then we'll try and again look for one more end city ship. We'll just raid the ship on that one for now. We can of course remember the coordinates later if we want to. So there's that one. I hear the other one. It's right up there. Hopefully it'll hit us. Actually, we'll let ourselves be hit by that. We can head up here, and our sword is at 176 durability, so that should be enough. So I want to make sure I do not break it, because this is an amazing sword. It's sharpness 4, looting 3, sweeping edge 3, and it was all from 1 enchantment too. So because of that, because we got it in the enchantment table, we didn't actually find it in the end city here. And so basically, it's a really good candidate for sort of a perfect sword, because it can actually be really hard to get every enchantment on a sword, just because of the way that they kind of work. There can be some difficulty there. So we're going to fly this way. hopefully find another end ship. If not, we'll just go for a little bit longer, and then we can head back. We may as well just fly back. We could use one of the end gateways, but I think we're pretty good. So let's see what we have around here. So far it looks like a grand total of nothing. Our durability is 50%, so we'll have to sort of watch out for that, because of course once that's gone, then we have literally basically no way of not dying. I guess we could technically, you know, use ender pearls, but to be careful with things like that. Now, I don't again see very much here. We'll fly up again. We're kind of just circling around the edge of this, sort of the edge of the end. Like I think right there is actually the void where at least the dragon, or not the dragon, but sort of the central island where the dragon would be. So let's take a look around here. We'll try to look at the Enderman either. And we're now under a second stack of fireworks, but we didn't even have a first stack to begin with. So kind of an interesting equation there. It seems like we'll use about twice as many potatoes as we do fireworks on average. And so let's say you wanted to bring 2 stacks of fireworks, you should bring 4 stacks of potatoes, or maybe 3 stacks of beef or some other food item. We're actually getting really unlucky here with the end cities, which is interesting. There's one of those portals, and honestly, if I don't see any from this portal, we may as well just fly right through it. That would make a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't see anything. So something kind of fun you can do if you want, although it's slightly dangerous, but we may as well try it, because why not? Yeah, I do not see anything here, is we can just kind of dive down, and we can fly through here. And if you're wondering how to easily get back, these portals sort of teleport all through, or they sort of generate all throughout the entire end dimension. And when you go through there, you're instantly back to the platform as if you had gone through the standard end portal. And so now here we are back at the main fight place. You can see there is our end gateway there that leads us out. So there's kind of somewhat of, there's 4 basically different types of end portal, actually 5. There's the end fountain, which takes you back. There is the end portal in the overworld, which takes you here. There's these end gateways, which lead out to the outer end islands. There's the ones that those connect to, which lead back to those ones, like those exact ones. So like they'll lead right back to this exact tower, not to the main one. And then there is finally, there's the last type, which is of course the ones that take you to the platform there. So we're gonna go through. We did see the credits already, I believe, so we should just be back. Oh, I guess in our world. I didn't realize that our spawn point was set here. Looks like it is snowing. Probably looks horrible on the stream because of compression, but there we go. It is snowing, and we of course have our pig here. We have our LAs and all that. And I'm not sure if this zombie pigman is going to become a reoccurring pet, although it's been here for quite a fair while, so it may as well. And this is kind of the fun part where we look at our, you know, fairly small starter base. And we can kind of see with what items we have, the fact that now we're capable for just so much more, which is always really exciting. So take a look at that and see what our final haul was from that end raid. Of course, I'm sure it's pretty good, and we'll continue on the stream well past that, so no worries. We're going to do lots of stuff with all these items, but for sure we want to also make sure that we are properly using all the things we've found. So take a quick look here at what we have in our inventory. Now we have, of course, lots of shulker boxes. We have these ender chests. We can now start using ender chests, which is great. May as well put one right here. Kind of seems like a good place. There's all that. We'll throw these in here. We may as well kind of load all the items in here. Look at all this armor and stuff. Really good because we do not have villager trading set up on here yet. So this is very vital items and very vital resources. Let's take a look through here. Someone said they could not get Sweeping Edge on Pocket Edition, and they're wondering why. That's because Sweeping Edge is actually not on every Bedrock Edition, and Bedrock is most of Minecraft, so that is Windows 10 Edition, not Java, but you know, the specific version for Windows 10. It's also, of course, on Pocket Edition. It is on PS3, well, actually not PS3, that's Legacy, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and then Nintendo Switch. So that's Bedrock Edition. And in all those versions, for whatever reason, there is no Sweeping Edge enchantment. I think it's because the PvP system is different, so it'd be kind of hard to sort of sync those two things. But I believe that the eventual idea is to have a unified PvP system. So let's see what we have here. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it kind of plays these horribly, but we have, looks like 8 shulker boxes, and we'll try and sort this into coherent groups. Now we already have some chests for different items, though there's no signs on them. We'll definitely have to improve this pretty soon. But let's see what we have here. We'll also clear out our inventory We'll just temporarily throw them in here. We'll keep it sorted later. Always a good tip when you're trying to keep your inventory sorted is to take off all of the items in your inventory. You can keep your armor on and stuff, but just keep the stuff in your inventory clear. You have so much more room to work with, and you're not sort of trying to figure out what is what. So we're just going to grab all the stackable loot that we found. That, of course, would be like diamonds, gold, iron, shulker shells, more or less. I guess we could technically count the beetroot seeds if we want. And I think also technically the dragon head stack. Let's hope we remembered every dragon head. There should be 3. There are 3. And there's actually lots of stuff in here, so let's find out all the loot that we had. So we'll look in here. We have iron, emeralds, diamonds. So many diamonds already. 27 diamonds. That's crazy. There is a lot of stuff here, which is so cool. And again, all the stackable items we're going to sort of grab that are loot. We have here this. There is an unused elytra. I didn't realize we had that. We have nothing else stackable there. There is also another elytra here. Shulker shells, beetroot seeds. Looks like it's about it. And we have some more gold, emeralds, diamonds, and iron. And finally in these 2 chests we have, oh, there is another elytra, so we actually did get 4 elytra. That's interesting, I didn't realize that. It must have been something we got in the previous end raid, sort of in the last episode, but there we go, 4 dragon heads, 4 elytra, which is what I wanted already. So it's a good thing we went back through the portal, I would say. And it looks like we then have this stuff, tons of diamonds, iron, more shulker shells, more gold, more beetroot seeds, and I think that's about it. I guess we could technically grab like the ender chest throughout all these, but that's not super important at this stage anyway. Alright, so what is the final haul that we got from this end raid of the non-stackable items? It looks like we have here 4 pairs of elytra, 46 diamonds. We have here almost 2 whole stacks of gold, only 10 emeralds, about the same amount of iron, so about 2 full stacks, and as one of the biggest things, literally 1 stack and an entire half of shulker shells, which translates to about 3/4 of a stack of shulker boxes, which is like a little bit under an entire double chest full, which I think is probably enough for the rest of this world as history, unless we make, let's say, a shulker loader, and apparently it's even more because there's 37 more in here. So we actually have enough for an entire stack of shulker boxes plus 3 more, which is awesome. So there we go. So we'll put these away in the specific chest that they go in. We'll kind of sort that more specifically later. We'll keep these in here for now because they kind of fit in. We'll put this with... We'll actually put this in here too. It's sort of the... there's sort of an extreme valuables chest around here. Here it is. So we'll put those in there. That makes the most sense. We'll also put the dragon heads in there and the end rods and the ender chests. We'll go through here and then we'll grab out all the armor. We'll start with diamond armor. So anything that's diamond, and then there's also armor. We're going to grab that out. And someone said that Bedrock needs a PvP update. I would say that both Bedrock and Java need a PvP update, a PvP parity update, and sort of just a general rethinking of PvP. And it's interesting because that was sort of the plan, but then basically because one of the lead developers, sort of designers and heads of Mojang, Jeb, basically stopped working on that project for whatever reason, and so we were actually getting these regular combat snapshots, but now the last one hasn't been for over 2 years, so it's probably the end of that, unfortunately. We're going to sort these into sort of armor groups, even if we're not really going to wear all this armor, just to see if it's like an even amount of every type of armor, or if there's like way more of a certain item than there is of another item, which there probably is. Just looking at it, it seems like we have tons and tons of leggings and not a lot of helmets, which is interesting. Look at that. We have here 5 boots. I guess if we're counting these ones, I don't know which one of these we made and which ones we don't. We'll just say we made them all, or we'll say we didn't make any of them. We'll have 6 boots, 12 leggings, then we have 6 chest plates and 4 helmets. So that's kind of interesting how odd the amount of the diamond leggings there we have. This chest here is going to get pretty full pretty quick, so we're just going to grab some of these, place them here for now. Again, eventually this is purposely a temporary base. Some people were asking why I didn't, let's say, improve the floor or something like that. I definitely could have, but I think that because it's sort of meant to be temporary, there is not too much of a reason to do that. So I'm going to go through here, put on all these items that are unstackable, and there we have that. And let's also take a look at what we have for the diamond items. Now look at this, we have diamond pickaxes, shovels. Just the amount of loot is crazy because you sort of just grab it, throw it in the chest. But looking at it all together, well, there was a looting 3 sword. I didn't remember that. It must have been from last episode, and that's kind of cool as well because our current looting sword's almost broken, so we're not gonna have too much of an issue with that then. So there's all that. Looks like that's about it. A couple less of the sort of diamond tools, but still great because we did not even have full diamond tools, including a silk touch pickaxe. Decent sword, so this is a really good sword. That's actually a very good shovel, although Fortune 3 is kind of useless on a shovel, but if we want to start a flint mine, that's perfect for it, as of course a Fortune shovel really only has one use, which is collecting flint. We'll put those in there. And now we have, we'll go with everything but the iron stuff. So we'll kind of grab everything in these chests that is not some sort of iron-based item. Now the iron ones are kind of the most useless. The good news is of course, something like, let's say, a Fortune 3 iron pickaxe, like maybe this was Fortune 1, but let's say it was Fortune 3, or let's say like this, a Efficiency 5 Silk Touch iron pickaxe. That's actually really good. It just doesn't have that durability to it, so you can't really use it long term, but short term it is really good to have. And even like this, very good enchantments, but just sort of on the wrong tool type, and unfortunately there's no way of converting an enchantment from one piece of armor to another if they're of different types. If they're of the same type, you can combine them, but these are not, so we're going to grab this. Our inventory is already full. We'll try and grab what's left, but there's mostly just things that are going to kind of not stack on, like let's say these potions or whatever. Now the saddles, I know where those go. They're going to go in here. We can also expand this chest because we actually have chests on us. In fact, let me just switch around this. I have my mouse sort of configured differently for different things. I'm just going to reconfigure that so I can use pick block, because if you don't know, pick block, very interesting part of the game. If you're on PC, and I think it is in Bedrock a different way as well, if you press the middle mouse scroll wheel, if you're on a mouse, kind of the middle click of that, whatever item you're looking at will appear in your hands if you have an instance of that item in your inventory. If you're in creative, it'll appear no matter what. So for instance, right now this is nowhere near my inventory. Pick block, it appears right there because it was in sort of my invisible part of my inventory. So very, very good feature if you have that. We're going to put our horse armor in here too. It doesn't really fit, but we kind of have like not a lot of chests to sort everything. So as long as, you know, most items are fairly sorted, it's going to be kind of the same result. So let's grab this again, everything but those iron things. We'll grab the iron horse armor because that's kind of different. These are of course our items, so we'll keep those there. And I guess we even enchanted and made those tools as well. We might not have made both those pickaxes, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure we did. So we'll put these in there. Put the potions actually in our potion room. We do have a potion room back here, very small, but again, just enough to sort of have a nice decorative thing. And we'll put our brewing stands and the potions in there because it fits really well. We can take a look at that. Someone says that pick block is in Bedrock, but you have to set a keybind or a controller button bind for that. It definitely makes a lot of sense. Pick block is really useful actually if you have sort of an ability to use it, especially if you're building. That's like vital. It's only too bad thing is you can't pick block out of your shulker boxes. So let's say if you had, you know, like a million shulker boxes in your inventory and like every single block type, you couldn't really grab every single block because you'd have to open up the chest and then get those things in your direct inventory. But that could be a cool little change, is if you could pick block out of shulker boxes. In terms of like random wood items we brought, we'll just throw those in here. And there's still so many cool things we found, really. I mean, look at all this iron armor. Armor isn't amazing right now, so even just that is going to be a really big benefit. I think we're going to have to get a second chest just to hold all of those kinds of things. I don't even think we actually know. I think we had a small beetroot farm, but very small. So I guess those beetroot seeds might be slightly useful, but you know, not too much. And also something really interesting is the fact that, of course, in this world, we have actually a very large farm up there I haven't shown for a while. But of course, we do have quite a few things to sort still. We can also disenchant the iron armor actually. Here's the dragon egg we found earlier. And there's a comment that says, why do you never read YouTube comments? Well, I'm reading this one. YouTube chat / comments. Well, I do try and read as many as I can. The main reason why is that I probably get anywhere from 200 to 1,000 comments across all my videos every day. And so because of that, it would be simply impossible to read and respond, or even just respond to maybe 10% of them. So what I usually tend to do is I will read and respond to basically every comment on a video in the first hour. So if you see a video that just comes out, they usually come out about 10 a.m. EST. Then because of that, what you can do is you can, of course, from there, sort of comment down what you want, and I'll be able to respond there. And I do try and respond to a lot of comments as well, but I would say that the majority of comments aren't usually really directed as questions, more or less discussions or remarks, but I do definitely try and respond to as many as I can. It just, of course, has gotten to the point where it's literally impossible, whether I wanted to or not, to respond to every single comment or even, you know, maybe half of them. Put it through here. All of our iron armor, put away all of the iron armor and tools. Sort of useless items. We could use them as decoration. We could use them for a lot of different things. So we're going to place that there. Someone says, what day is it in this world? Well, that's an amazing question because I have not checked that for a while. I'm sure you could technically do the math of like how long I've streamed it for and divide it by like 12 or some number like that. But we'll take a look. It is day 96. That's actually pretty good. So if it was like a 100 days video, we would have gotten all of this done in under 100 days, and that's also on stream as well, so that's pretty good progress if you think about it. Some people might not think so, but because we've slept like basically every night, not even 100 days, defeating the Ender Dragon, having lots of Elytra, diamond armor, a farm, a house on top of a mountain, having explored a bunch too, so we know what's around, having raided an ancient city, I think we're making really good progress on this world, and we even have, of course, a full enchantment setup, although the table there is right now at the stronghold, although we can use our secondary enchantment table that we made a long time ago by accident. But yeah, it is day 96 right now in the world, so let's put away the scaffolding as well. I don't know about you, but I tend to store my scaffolding with the wood items. Same with something like an item frame. They're not really wood items, but I think that they kind of fit with it. And although technically now actually scaffolding is a wood item, because in 1.20, of course, scaffolding is going to, or bamboo is going to be a wood type. And so to consider scaffolding as a wood-related item now totally makes sense, since we should think of bamboo as a wood item, which is kind of interesting, although I definitely am not going to have any sort of chests of logs that also have bamboo in them. I think we'll kind of separate it a bit, just because it's such a different system. It wouldn't really make sense to have them be completely combined there. Let's see what's left in these chests. Not much. We will grab our pickaxe, pick those up, and then we can kind of go on from there. Now we do have a decent amount of things we could do now, since we of course have access to Shulker Boxes. We have access to so many different things. It looks like all these are empty. Our personal items are in here, so we'll just grab those out, maybe put away anything we didn't need. These actually stay in there. Looks like a Shulker Box stayed on the ground there. Actually, I believe it was, I don't remember which world it was, but there was a world I did a while ago where I must have broken the dragon egg, like with a torch or something, and didn't realize it because I just lost it, more or less, and it was on a very developed world, so you wouldn't normally just lose something. And I basically just never found it, and so eventually, because of something else, the end got reset, so I was able to get a new dragon egg on that world, as of course if the end dimension is deleted, then the game will assume that you've never defeated the dragon before. You'll have that whole fight sequence, including sort of the initial ones, so all the XP, so kind of a different experience there. But still, it's always good to be really careful with your dragon egg. I mean, even having it out here is probably pretty stupid. If, let's say, we have a creeper or something explode next to it, that would really be bad, as the dragon egg is 100% the rarest item in the entire game. Not necessarily the most difficult to get, but because there's only one of them in the entire Minecraft world, it is indisputably the rarest. Okay, we'll take a look through here. I think we should probably craft some other diamond tools, because we do have the ingredients for that, and just upgrade our armor overall. Now the problem is we don't have a lot of lapis. We need a lot of lapis because we need to enchant. We have 71 levels, so I think we're going to have to find a source of lapis, and once we found that, then we should go and enchant everything we can. Something really cool we have not done yet, but we definitely should do very soon, is fly around, because we are on these amazing sort of mountains. If someone has not watched the entire series, they may not know, but let's open the front doors, take a look outside. You'll see we're on top of this huge mountain. There's these crazy valleys, just an amazing Minecraft seed overall. And of course, if we look down the cliffs, we can see just we're basically at almost 256. So where we are right now would basically have been the world height, the max building world height, just in 1.17 or before. And of course, you can even see here there's lots of deadly drops and things to be careful with. And I think that's actually if I zoom in here, I believe that is a chicken jockey. Yeah, there's a chicken jockey down there. That's kind of random, but there we go. We should actually be really careful because we do not have any Elytra on. We have 71 levels, which are going to be very hard to replace. So let's go back to where the door was. It might not actually be here, but we may as well just sort of break in, because why not? I guess it sort of goes to the wrong area on the back there, but it doesn't matter that much. So we'll break this block and we will head back to there. And we're behind a chest actually, so maybe we can't just do that. We'll sort of make our way back up another way, I suppose. Let's take a look here. Someone said I should trade with a villager. I definitely will trade with a villager soon. I think it's a good idea because we need mending pretty quick here for all of our tools, of course our Elytra especially. So what I might do is I might either bring a villager here because it shouldn't be that difficult, or what we could do is we could potentially just go to the village. There is a village at spawn. And so from there we can kind of get a villager and maybe bring it back later, but it kind of risks it too, because it basically has to stay at the village, or it's more risky. Let's take a look here though. And someone who says it's as if a thief broke into my house, because of course I was breaking my own wall down. It's a good thing I don't have a security system on here. Alright, so we have our 8 shulker boxes here. We'll put them with the rest of the items, of the shulker related items, which are right here. We can kind of see the total things we have. We could make a box of shulker boxes, even have our inventory or our sorting system be all shulker boxes. And we just had a super chat from Zeno and friends, and it says, "Hi, I'm a fan." Well, thank you very much for that. I'm really glad that you enjoy my content, and thank you very much for the super chat. It's a great way of directly helping the channel out. Let's take a look here. We have a dirt chest. We should have a dirt chest somewhere around here, you'd assume. Maybe not. Oh, here it is. Just sort of not dedicated. Yeah, definitely we have a little bit unsorted here. We have like a random diamond horse armor inside of that. I think the horse armor itself is split between 2 chests right now, so we might just get that all into one chest. Same with the saddles right here. I hear a baby zombie actually. I'm not sure if that's below us somewhere. Must be. Alright, so let's get ourselves some more tools. So we have 47 diamonds. I don't always recommend crafting diamond tools and things like that, since at this stage we could of course get a villager. But we do not have all the capabilities to do that yet, so we want to be careful. So let's see here. We need to... I guess we can make a hoe as well, but we're probably fine. We need some sticks, of course, and we will make some of those with our dark oak planks. And also, if anyone wants to ask me any questions during the stream, I try to answer the ones I see. I unfortunately do not see anywhere near all of them. But if you want to ask some questions in the chat right now about my channel, about me in real life, about Minecraft, about some certain things in the game, about the future, anything you want, I can try and answer those as best as I can. We're going to take away this plank. We have to enchant these. Now we do have some lapis, so we can enchant these a little bit. And then from there, we did that, and someone saying, I'm yawning, and they love it. Yeah, I'm not sure how a giant eyeball would really yawn, but I guess it's sort of a mystery. But anyway, we'll go through here. We have efficiency 4 or efficiency 4. Lots of choice there. I guess out of those two, efficiency 4 would be best on a shovel. So we'll see what else is with this. Hopefully silk touch. Let's see. Nope, but unbreaking 3. I'm good with that. So it's on this axe, efficiency 4. Again, I'm going to assume just efficiency 4, there's going to be nothing with it. Let's find out. That's correct. And the reason why I was able to guess that is just because that's kind of how enchanting works. Is there's a lot of sort of a set pattern of you have a lot of stuff with the basic enchantment and you have a little bit of stuff. So like just what it tells you. So if efficiency 4 there, for example, or then afterwards right here, it was additionally unbreaking 3. We can also get some other things there as well. We'll put away our lapis. We're almost kind of running out of lapis, which is not good. Let's take a quick look through all of our iron stuff and see if there's some sort of useful things we can grab there temporarily. I think we should go mining just a little bit to get some more lapis. I know we tried that before kind of unsuccessfully, so we'll have to be careful, but let's see. I think we need a silk touch pick. We do have silk touch already, but it's not like efficiency or anything. This is really good. Look at that. Imagine if that was diamond. Mending, unbreaking 3, efficiency 4, silk touch. That is just like cruel. That is on an iron pickaxe. If there's a fortune one too, we may as well grab it. There we go. Look at that. Efficiency 4, fortune 3, unbreaking 3. That is really too bad that's not iron, or that's not diamond. but it is what it is. We're going to look through the Elytra box here, or sort of the Elytra chest. Put on this brand new Elytra. We still do not have feather falling, so we're going to have to be careful. But I'm going to show everyone an awesome view that I have not seen, no one has seen, of this world, and that is it from sky. So we're going to go like this. We have our full render distance on, and let's take an amazing look at the base and the entire area around it. Look at those amazing mountain ranges, such a view. There's even a forest fire there, and there is our base, right? You can even see it's kind of a, I didn't actually notice how far away our farm was from it, but let's see if we can kind of get gliding, which can be somewhat difficult. But look at that, we have just this amazing base, this huge mountain. It's actually hard to sort of see the scale. Let's try going really fast downwards. We'll be careful though, because if we hit something, that's kind of our level's gone, but we can, you know, fly around here and see what's there. We have this awesome dark oak valley, which I really like. I don't think we've been here in the actual game, but very beautiful, these sort of generations here. It's crazy how much easier this is when you're flying. And look at that mountain there. That's a huge one. It looks like a volcano almost. There's some sort of exposed caves on the sides. Really cool looking, really. We'll go this way and upwards. I don't think I've been here before either, not on foot or on the seed separately either. Lots of iron here actually if we need it, lots of coal. Too bad there's no lapis up here. Look, again, we have sort of a decent amount of the elytra durability. There's the ocean, I guess. I didn't realize that was there. Sort of blocks off of there. We have these kind of frozen pools on the edge and super cool looking stuff. I will kind of fly this way, but so awesome to finally be able to really explore easily around here. I mean, it took us so long on foot, and I would say one of the biggest reasons why I decided to, you know, raid the end, do all these different things fairly quickly, is because elytra are just so important in this world. And although I'm not really being that efficient, technically the trick, if you want to be, that was really close, technically the trick if you want to be really efficient with the elytra is to go at 40-degree angles. Sometimes it's 45 as well, but it's kind of approximate it, because of course no one wants to have their F3 screen up. But it basically means you can travel almost infinitely, not quite, but almost infinitely, by just sort of changing the angle that you're flying at, which is pretty cool. So I believe our house is just on top of this mountain here, but I'm not sure. We'll have to find out. Now we kind of are too low already, so we're going to go down. We'll go upwards a bit, and yeah, there's our house. We can again get another really great view of sort of the farm. There's the ravine, or kind of the cave there, and there of course is our house, which is a little bit, in fact a lot bit anticlimactic compared to the amazing mountains that were around, but still absolutely amazing world, absolutely amazing seed that I think we should do a lot of cool stuff in. So let's take a look at what we have in terms of what our next plan should be. I guess mining would make the most sense. Now we have this low amount of levels, so I have to be pretty careful about that. I think we're almost out of food too. We have a lot of potatoes though, so I probably should have done this initially, but we're gonna get those smelting. There's already some coal in there, which is good. And as those smelt, we'll already start mining. We don't have to worry that much. And chorus fruit isn't that dangerous inside of a cave. I suppose we could teleport somewhere weird, but I doubt it's that possible or that probable. So we're going to go down here and we're going to basically look for a lapis. Now, we have tried this before, and sorry for all the yawning. I'm not sure why. I'll get a drink of water here. There we go. We want to look for lapis, and lapis is going to be around Y0. This is how crazy, this is how far away Y0 is, and Y0 is not even that low down. Down. We're not even at Y0. Down. We're not even at Y0. Down. There we go. Now we're at like Y0. That's like how far down this thing goes. It's absolutely crazy. So we want to find the closest cave to that. We could strip mine at Y0, but it seems like kind of a waste. We did explore around here earlier and didn't find anything, to be fair. So we could do that. Maybe look for a cave that's close by. Again, main purpose, in fact, really only purpose, is just for that lapis. So if there's not some of that there, it's not going to matter that much. We could like maybe go up here or something, or we haven't been. Our warning level is 0, so we can like have 0 caution when exploring this. I mean, you normally should have caution, but like I said, low warning level, not much of a point. We can look, like there's a shrieker there, we may as well be careful, and there's some lapis. Look at that, perfect. In fact, I think there's some lapis there too. Perfect, perfect. So it's so amazing actually how how much it is influenced by having sort of the right Y level. Now we're going to break the Shrieker here, of course, because why in the world wouldn't we? I don't see any others nearby. I mean, if there's one or two Shriekers that are near-ish, that's okay. We just want to make sure we're, don't have like any super close that we could set off by accident. I mean, just running through here like this is usually very stupid. I would not suggest it. But again, with the low warning level, it really is something fine because your warning level goes down every 10 minutes. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, this is the Deep Dark, and there is a mob that can spawn in actually technically any biome, but they're only going to be in the Deep Dark just because of the way that Minecraft works. But of course that mob is the Warden that I'm sure everyone knows about. And there's 4 warning levels to get to it, and it's increased by 1 every single time that you set off one of the Shriekers. And the Shriekers was that thing I broke, the thing that's in my inventory right now. It's actually now, that's actually going to be not going to do anything. So you notice it did let out a shriek there, which is kind of scary, but it's not going to do anything because we broke it. So Shriekers 100% will never have mobs spawn in because of them unless they're naturally generated. Even placed down in creative ones are not. And so because of that, you just have to be somewhat careful, as if you have those Shriekers be set off 4 times, you're then going to have the Warden spawn into the game. However, every single 10 minutes, your warning level goes down by 1. And so because of that, you don't actually have to be that careful if you're at warning level 0, because if you're not planning on caving for a really long time, you can risk yourself setting off a couple Shriekers without too much of an issue. It's kind of too bad before I raided the end, I didn't find all this lapis here before. But we're going to keep exploring and try and find as much as possible. I feel like I mined that other... Oh, here it is. There's a 12 lapis. Now, you can get a lot with Fortune 3. I think up to 36 per piece. So there's a world in which we break this. We went up to 48, although we didn't, but there was a world we could. Like just right there, we got 24. That one had a bunch, and that one has a bunch as well. So a stack and a half is pretty good. We're already here, though. We're going to take like another minute to look around, try and find that lapis. I think this is the way we went from. It is. Sometimes I would suggest getting rid of those sort of skulk sensors. But there's that. Someone says yawning means I need some more lapis naturally. That's exactly what that means. Let's go this way. That's a well-known fact. Now let's go this way and okay, this goes lower, which is not ideal, but we'll take a look. Again, not too much of an issue. See some light. That's probably a bad thing because we're very likely going back to an area that we've explored. Nope, just glow lichen. And again, we're going to look around the walls. There was some iron I saw earlier too. I may as well grab it. So we'll take a look for that. We probably already have enough lapis to sort of spend down all of our levels. Again, always so important to do that as quickly as you can. Even just on books, which is probably what we'll do. Although we'll likely also disenchant some of the badly enchanted diamond. Which most of it is enchanted really well. But some of it isn't. Let's grab everything here really. I mean, we're still pretty early game since we've gone fairly quick. We haven't done like any, 3-hour long strip mining or anything like that. So, collecting everything we find is generally the best idea. We do seem to be going back though. I think we finished exploring it. This tunnel actually goes this way. Looks like we have partially explored it as well. Maybe even mined out the skulk from it, but this is also at a really good Y level for lapis, a little bit low. But if we go slightly higher up, then we're going to find even more. And again, not much to be worried about here because we have a low warning level. I don't see any Shriekers either. Shriekers are surprisingly uncommon, actually, inside of these sort of things. You'd think they'd be super common, but no, they're fairly uncommon. So I'm going to go this way. Again, honestly not worrying that much about the Shriekers. If we set one off, it doesn't really matter at all. These are a little low. Probably not really the best Y level for anything, but maybe gold. Now here a zombie. That's actually never good because you can get kind of forced to set off a Shrieker. This is definitely a good cave to explore, but I do feel like we kind of already have enough we're almost out of food here. I do feel like we almost have enough of the lapis really, so we're probably good. We can just make our way back, look at the walls for a little bit, try and find any lapis poking out beneath sort of this. It's very hard to find sort of certain ores. They'll kind of blend into the background there, so always good to be on the lookout, and there could definitely be a Shrieker here. I don't see any. So we're going to go over here and probably just kind of go back in a circle and then head all the way back there. So that goes really low really quick too, which is interesting. Well, this actually goes straight up, which is exactly what we need. And I think I might see a Shrieker up there, so we have to be careful. If we go around, we should be good. Someone says, what do you do if you're trying to enchant boots, let's say, and it says too expensive? Well, there are two ways, and you're of course talking about anvil enchanting there. There are kind of two things that means. The first one means that, well, it really only means one thing, but there's kind of two things you can do about it. So the first one is, it's also a very good idea, by the way, is using Elytra up these, although it's kind of wasteful. But anyway, basically, there we go. What you want to do is you want to, if you've done that, it means that you have broken, or you have combined that with diamonds a lot of times, if it's, let's say, diamond boots, or you've put a lot of books on it, so it's like enchantment level has gone too high. So it's actually above what you would be able to do, because there's kind of a set limit. So if that happens sometimes, like if it's almost all the way enchanted, like let's say there's one more enchantment you need, sometimes if that enchantment's on another pair of boots, you can kind of put them in different positions. But unfortunately, once you get to that message, it basically means that there's nothing more you can do with that piece of armor. It's sort of just good to move on to a new piece, especially about that. But it could also mean, let's say too, if you have maybe, a book that you put, like, you should never really combine books, like you can to a point, but if you do it incorrectly, then you can make something be too expensive just even to add to something that's unenchanted. So generally what that means is you don't have enough levels for that, and so basically you either want to enchant a different thing or put a different enchantment on it if it's a group of enchantments. Let's see what's here. We're going to put this away. And we now have lots of lapis, and we also have, of course, all these levels that we need to spend pretty quick. So we're going to find the right tools. Any diamond tools that are not perfect enchantments, well, not perfect, but sort of like this one, efficiency 3, that could obviously be improved. Fortune 2, that could be improved. Never want to use something that has curses. It's better just to let it go. I didn't realize this had silk touch. That's good. Sharpness 3, again, not that good. The rest of these look decent, so we'll just stick to those. Some of the things we're using might not be that good. It looks decent, so we'll go over here. We'll just put these in the grindstone, because again, sharpness 3, not that big of a deal. Efficiency 3, not that good. Fortune 2, just not that good. So put in here, we have efficiency 4. We have Bane of Arthropods 4, and this one's also probably efficiency 4. We'll try efficiency 4 on the pickaxe, because I feel like it's probably going to get us more than that, just because of the timing. It may not, though. It did not. This gives us sharpness 3 now, which is also not that good. This one is efficiency 4, so we'll try this on the shovel. Again, just efficiency 4. Sometimes you get unlucky, unfortunately. Sweeping edge 3, that's really good. We'll see what we get with that. Look at that. We have sharpness 4, unbreaking 3, so that's a great sword. Now, there's two things we can do. We can either disenchant this and re-enchant this, or we can combine it. So for instance, here we could combine this pickaxe with this one. I feel like with this pickaxe, so we honestly have so many levels, it doesn't matter to be that wasteful. The trick though, if you're going for something specific, like let's say unbreaking 3 is what you always wanted, but it wasn't here, just enchant it level 1, and look at that, actually level 2 has silk touch. Well, good thing I noticed that. We'll get silk touch. I mean, hey, there's not a lot with it, but guaranteed silk touch is always better than, let's say, something else. And we may as well re-enchant the shovel too. Put that in there. We have the exact same enchantment, so we could go for it. We may as well. And looks like we got on there Fortune 3 and Unbreaking 3, which would have been a lot better on a shovel, or on a pickaxe, but it is what it is. We've now leveled those up quite a bit. And we'll put these away in this chest and get those. And someone asks, in a realm, or let's say a multiplayer world, when one player lowers the price of villager trades to 1 diamond for an item, do the other players also get that price? How does this work? Well, that's a really good question, because I feel like so many people play exclusively single player, they don't have a really good idea of, let's say, more advanced functionalities on multiplayer. So the answer is it does not go over. More or less, the villagers have sort of a personal reputation, so they're going to give that raise in reputation to you only. They're not going to care at all if, they died and were recured, 10 times by you. Not going to affect the other player at all. So if you're on a multiplayer world and you want, let's say, a villager trading hall that has low prices for everyone, everyone's basically going to have to put in the time and individually sort of zombify those villagers. That's why some villager trading systems actually have the ability to sort of always be zombifying them. As then, of course, you can, have you and all your friends go through, maybe a couple hours of grinding and have all of them leveled down for that. Another trick to also do if you want to save some time is you can sort of have certain villagers be discounted for certain people. And then you could be like, let's say someone's trying to sell stone to a villager, and that stone villager is discounted for you. Then you could do a thing where maybe they give you that stone and you could trade it for them. So that's kind of how that works on a realm, but it is unfortunate that it does not combine over, and of course it is the same on multiplayer as well. Now we're going to put these pickaxes away. I guess we'll actually put them in this chest because it's the enchanted ones. Also put these in this chest here if they have room, which I don't think there is. Almost. We have just a little bit, not enough, but there we go. We can switch that around and put it there. Looks like that. And someone asks, on a trident, would I prefer Riptide or Loyalty? Usually Loyalty, just because Riptide's more for fun than anything. But I would say that, to me, the question is more, is it channeling or Riptide? Although Loyalty is also exclusive. It's kind of interesting how it's like, interesting system there on the trident there. But the thing with Riptide is that then you can never use that ranged attack. And then it kind of makes like the sword or the trident outside of water basically just be like a not perfect sword, you know, so it's sort of, it depends. I would say generally I like both, but I would always prioritize just a standard Loyalty one first because it's a lot more useful. And then of course you can get the charged creepers if it is a thunderstorm. Alright, so we have all these items, we have all these levels. Let's see what else we can do in terms of enchanting. So we need more helmets. We could also disenchant some of the armor and re-enchant it. That's probably a good idea. Seems like the leggings, there's like perfect leggings already. A couple of the boots are pretty bad. We could probably disenchant those. This one's okay, but again with like protection 3, it's so-so. Something like that's okay. That's a little bit worn down. But we'll disenchant and re-enchant this. In terms of the chest plates here, let's see what's here. Potentially there, fire protection 2, that's pretty bad. Sort of just level up a lot of stuff here. Fire protection 3. Not that fire protection is bad, of course, but level 2 or level 3 versus what else we could get, it is pretty well useless. And it looks like almost all these are actually really leveled up of these chest plates, which is cool. So we will disenchant these and re-enchant these and see what we can get on them. Just trying to work ourselves down to about 27 levels. That's kind of the benchmark there for that is 27, or the level you want to go to. Not really benchmark, but we'll go here. Protection 4, that's pretty good. Would it be better on leggings? No, because that is fire protection. So let's hope we get Feather Falling 4, will we? We did not. Let's see what's on here. Fire protection 3, that's very bad. So if you see something you do not like, there's two things you can do. The first one is enchant it at a low level, like I just did, then disenchant it. The second thing is to enchant it on a garbage item, and you can just kind of keep it on there. But again, protection 3, pretty bad. Level 1, just kind of go through here. You do lose a little bit, but compared to Taurus Enchanting level 3, it's nothing. So then there's protection 3. Might be nothing else with it, but hey, that's decent. Look at that, protection 4, unbreaking 3. Very, very good pair of leggings there. And this one too, unbreaking 3. Fire protection 4, unbreaking 3. So just by wasting technically 2 or 3 levels, we've given ourselves much better enchantments, which would be a lot harder to get if we hadn't have done that. So we'll put these away in here. Someone said, have I been to an ocean monument, and also have I killed a wither? Well, I have not been to an ocean monument or killed a wither on this world yet. So we're going to do that basically as soon as we can. But as of right now, we have not yet. And actually, it's crazy how many items we have just from the end raid, but just in general for some of these things, because we haven't played for very long on here yet. So we can sort of see we have a good supply of redstone, lots of diamonds, amethyst, shards, all these different things. Really good to have. Let's see what else we can do. So we have 41 levels. In terms of any other things we can disenchant, maybe we can take a look there. Just anything here that's not basically perfect. There's no way to get rid of curses. That's kind of garbage forever on some of those items. We don't have any really good diamond hoes, like a silk touch hoe would be good. I think there is a good one in there I just saw actually. We could see what enchantment that has. It is silk touch, so a good fortune one would be sort of the goal then. And we can grab these sticks and turn those into that. Get ourselves a hoe and try and get a good enchantment on this hoe right here. I'm guessing it's going to give us efficiency 4 to start. It did. There we go. I can sort of just guess because of what it usually gives. Probably nothing else with it. Let's find out. No, there's lots. Efficiency 4 on breaking 3 silk touch. Well, we did kind of want fortune, but that is still a very, very good diamond hoe. Too bad I didn't get that on a pickaxe, but still pretty good there. So we have that. And May as well make another pickaxe too. We don't have a lot, but our kind of current pickaxes are pretty bad. We don't have an efficiency and fortune pickaxe, which is like one of the best pickaxes to have. Might seem like a waste spending all these diamonds on it, but at the end of the day, it's kind of the point of diamonds is to make tools out of. Although we can decorate somewhat. So, fortune 3, there we go. Look at that, exactly what we wanted. Probably nothing with it though. No, there was lots with it. Look at that, efficiency 4, unbreaking 3. Love being proved wrong with that. We got literally exactly what we wanted, which is a lot better of an idea than, let's say, just having 30% of a diamond block out of those 3 diamonds. So now we have a much better thing here. We can actually switch these out. We have some decent silk touch tools here. We could replace it for that as well, sort of just level ourselves up. Have the best full tool set we could. Let's make another axe as well. We could also disenchant this efficiency axe, but there's not too much of a point, especially since some big building projects are sort of in our future. It's always a good idea with stuff like this to have a really good way of chopping down trees, because that's like one of the biggest supplies, if not the biggest supply of valuable items. This is efficiency 4. I'm going to guess it's just that, but we'll find out. It is just that. We're actually going to disenchant it because I'm getting annoyed with that. We're going to see what else we can get. Now, we only have 32 levels, so we have to be very careful here. We're going to go for the unbreaking 3. If it's just that, it is what it is, but I don't think it will be. It is not. We have efficiency 4, unbreaking 3, fortune 2. Fortune 2 is irrelevant, but having efficiency and unbreaking on there is great, so definitely worth it on that as well. We can replace that for a better axe, put our worse axe away in here. And I think that's enough enchanting, because now, of course, we're at level 29. So we'll put that in here. We will get our dark oak wood put away, get these sticks in here, all that. And then we're looking pretty good in that way as well. Our food also smelted, which is great. And actually got us back up to level 30, so we may as well enchant something else. In terms of our armor, let's try and get it leveled up to the best ones there are. Sort of whatever is the best piece of armor we have, we'll wear that one. So this one looks like the best leggings. We'll switch that one out. In terms of anything else, helmet's pretty bad. Let's see if there's a better one here. That one is the Curse of Binding, so we're not going to use it. So we could definitely use a better helmet, it seems like. There was one I enchanted earlier. I'm not sure where I put it, though. I might have put it somewhere shouldn't have gone. Like maybe here. Or maybe I actually put it in this chest over here, or maybe I'm just imagining it, but I feel like I enchanted a helmet. I must not have. Anyway. We do have 30 levels. We may as well make a helmet, or we could make something else. Our boots seem like they're the best they can be also, but we'll check that. Unbreaking 3, yeah, that's the same. Has depth strider 2. So that's the best on our leggings. Chestplate's good, so yeah, we'll go for a helmet. Why not? I think a helmet's a good idea. Hopefully we'll get good on sort of the first one, so we don't really have any leverage here to mess up since we're only at level 30. Fire protection 4, that's pretty bad, so we're going to have to... We'll try something kind of interesting here. So if you're in this scenario, what you can do is you can enchant the helmet at level 1, right? Then we'll disenchant it. We'll stay at level 29, but we'll place the torch. So now this should go to level 28. 26 it did, actually. Let's see if we can get to just 28. 26 as well. We'll try that. 24. It's kind of random the way these things work, so you have to kind of mess with it. There's 29. Perfect. So unbreaking 3. This is also going to have like 99% as good of an enchantment as, level 30. So there's that, and just unbreaking 3, but you know what? That's okay. The other hand, protection 3 too. We could combine them. We'll just switch it for now, or I guess we'll keep the protection 3 for now, but we'll keep this unbreaking 3 helmet. We'll kind of have it as like a base for some other stuff. It's always good to do that too, have certain items that you're kind of combining, and certain items you're using as bases for other items. Also, it looks like it's nighttime, so we're going to sleep. Someone asks, how many diamonds and iron do I have? 30 diamonds and about 2.5 stacks of iron. And someone asks, do I personally use an axe for PvP or mining? I love axes for PvP. Mining is good too. But I found that sort of like breaking trees. But I found that I do generally tend to use them for both. I really do like axes as a weapon, although I think that, of course, swords with like looting or whatever, probably just the better option, mostly because of that exact enchantment of looting. It just affects the game so much. Here's something we could do too, actually. We should probably combine some swords, because our current one's almost broken. We could try and mend it, but I think at this stage, probably not the best idea. We need something that's going to combine well, so like this, for instance, would actually be almost perfect, but the couple things don't match up. So Let's see which can match up the best of all these swords. It'll probably take us down to like level 10 or something, but so we have sharpness 4, sweeping edge 3, looting 3. Unbreaking 3, so we don't have that. Sweeping edge, we do have that, and sharpness 4. So we would lose the sweeping edge, but we'd get up to sharpness 5, and we'd also add unbreaking. This one, we would gain knockback, and we would gain unbreaking, but we'd lose the smite. So I feel like between these, getting up to sharpness 5 is really a good thing. So I think if we combine these two ones, then that's probably a good idea. And then of course we also have that unbreaking 3, so that gives us like a 2 enchantments away from perfect sword. So I think we would just need fire aspect and mending, and that's perfect. So we're going to put these in here, and you'll kind of see this too expensive thing play out. So you can see that's 29. Now that's not actually too expensive. It'll say the words too expensive, which means you literally cannot combine them, but you'll notice it's 29 here, and it is 25 here. Now a lot of people don't know why it changes value, but it's fairly simple. It's because in certain scenarios you're having to kind of add more, because it's like this is the base one, we're adding this onto it. So this will add more onto it, then this will add on to that. So it's kind of like this adds less to this than this would add to this, and so it's cheaper that way. It's also a really good idea to rename these whenever you do this. So it's just going to cost literally all of our levels, but like right now it'd just be, you know, diamond sword, but renaming these as soon as we can is always good. So we'll just call it something like Eyecraftmc's blade or something. It doesn't have to be specific, but it's a good idea to rename these things when you can. And we now have literally 0 levels and like 2 points of XP, and we've used like literally all of our levels and we didn't even die. We can even try this out on this pigman right here. It looks like we've now angered this one permanently, so we'll have to unfortunately get rid of that one too. But either way, we now have an awesome sword, and we can put the other one away. Sharpness 5, looting 3, sweeping edge 3, unbreaking 3. I guess it's actually only 4 enchantments, so I'm not sure if that would be possible to turn into a perfect sword, but it is a really good one, so we have that. And let's take a look here. We have lapis, so we're going to put this one in the enchanting area. You'll notice our brewing area and our enchanting area are not the best. Probably planning out a big mega base and starting work on it next episode could be a good idea. Also looting. I think we should probably fly over to that village and take a look at potentially some villagers that we could sort of try and get some mending from. Could be a good idea. We do have some emeralds, so we might be able to even get a mending book for like our sword or something. Or I guess our elytra, of course, first is always the best idea. So we will do that, and we're gonna, if we have any garbage enchanted books, which I don't think we do, these all seem to be pretty good, but if we did, we could grab a book and kind of use it for that. We'll grab our emeralds here, and if we have any paper, which we do, we have sugar cane, a little bit of it there, a lot of it in our actual sugarcane farm. We can trade that with the villager. We can also potentially, if we have any books, we can grab that. I don't think we have any right here, though. Probably just in the stronghold. So we're going to go over here. We are going to harvest our sugar cane, and then from there, we can get the ingredients to trade with that villager, and hopefully get a mending book, as there is, of course, a village at spawn. Someone said, why is it a good idea to name the sword? Mostly because if you want to name it, it only costs 1 level when you're combining it, but it costs multiple levels when you're just doing it on its own. So it can actually be too expensive to name it, but it'll never be too expensive to name it if you're naming it while enchanting it or while combining it with something else. And so that would be the reason for that. Now we have 58 sugarcane. That should be enough. If we go over here, we can also, of course, if there's any more in there, which there isn't, we can kind of make our way here. I feel like there's just so many possibilities for a base here. You know, for instance, like maybe like a big support archway going across here, maybe a base here, or maybe over there. Definitely building like a really awesome mountaintop base here should be a goal pretty soon, as we sort of make this world go more from early game to then mid game and late game. So we're going to go down here and craft this into paper and make our way over to the village. I think we have everything we need. Maybe a bed would be a good idea, so we do not necessarily kill the villagers by accident by them dying. We'll go over here. And the village, I think, is north. Yes, so we'll go north. Kind of just, it's actually really close. If you see here how close it is, it's crazy, because to walk it is a very long time, but to fly, maybe 15-20 seconds. So you'll notice here, we're almost already there. We're already past the mountain range, basically. And just at the base of it, just at 0, 0 more or less, right over here, we have the village. just in front of us, and there's even another portal there that we were using earlier to get over, which is kind of cool. So if you notice, there it is, super close. Now I don't know if there's any librarians here. I guess I probably should have tried crafting a lectern, but I think there is a library. It might be this one here, actually. It is not. I don't think we've raided this very much either. You know, there's still most of the beds and things like that. We'll take a look, see what we can find in terms of potentially a librarian villager. If not, I think there's also some more villagers around here. I mean, this is a pretty big plains biome, I think. I haven't explored it at all, so I have no idea, but I would assume that it is. And so because of that, we can probably get what we need here. But there does not actually seem to be a librarian, so our house is kind of this way. We may as well fly this way. Again, our durability is decent. Rocket count isn't great, but oh, there's a that's really interesting, actually. We have a pillager outpost right next to a village, right next to ice spikes. What in the world? That is super interesting, actually, to have all those things next to each other. We could make like a perfect raid farm that way, and we have not been to this area at all. So we'll go over here and we'll take a look. And also, as people are saying in the chat there, feel free to join my Discord server if you haven't. In fact, I'll just throw it up right now. If you want to, I have all these different social medias. Of course, I have @Eyecraft_MC on Twitter. I also have my Discord link on the description and also in the live chat. And we also have my Twitch, which is Eyecraftmc, my Reddit, r/Eyecraftmc. And last but not least, we have my second channel, which is called iBartham, and that is linked on, not the description, I don't think, but it is linked on my main channel about page. So, of course, back to Minecraft there. And as people were saying, I actually, in cold blood, actually, got rid of Dan the Pigman by accident there, and I didn't want to, but the unfortunate thing is that Dan would have been eternally angry at me because I wasn't realizing that that was there. So if you're wondering who Dan is, that's the pigman that was in the boat there. I actually forgot that we'd named it, unfortunately. So sorry about that, but we will try and get another pigman, as Dan had an incurable rage. It had to be solved. So we'll get another pigman there, and we'll actually make like a house for it, maybe. I think that we could get like some little houses, little buildings, things like that around for everything. There's some decent loot in here. Not amazing, but I mean, apples are pretty good actually, because we don't have any villagers set up yet. For golden apples for curing those villagers, that's going to be really good. Now, of course, I did see there's that villager with the lectern, or the librarian over here. So if we just find their structure, then we can hopefully switch around their job and get the things we need. I'm guessing the library is one of these two. It's probably this one. Maybe, very luckily, we could get naturally mending from this. Not Riptide 3 isn't not actually that bad, but it's of course not perfect. So we'll go over here, we'll break its sort of workstation, and we're going to kind of work with it through there. So go for that. And someone was saying that unfortunately Dan, the pigman, actually had rabies, so we had to put it down. So I guess maybe that is true in a sense, because it was incurably angry at us. So there's that. So unfortunately, it was the most humane option. But we'll go over here and we're going to try and switch this trade. It does sell the bookshelves. I guess I could technically sell it to them. They're its own bookshelves, which is kind of funny, because I just... wait, I don't have any bookshelves on me. How did I... Oh, no, just because the option was selected. Okay, now we're the, there's a librarian there. Hopefully it's going to lose its trade. Since we've never traded with it, it should lose it pretty quick there. Oh no, I see it's buying bookshelves. I'm so stupid. There we go. Actually beautiful. They're that ice spikes. I'm going to take a little look at that while we wait for the time to change. I think the problem is that the time is too late. So the villager is not in the time of day where it can actually switch its profession. So as we wait for that, we're going to explore around here. But lots of sort of untamed wildlife here. And actually, I think we did go over here once, didn't we? Because we did go over to that pillager outpost, because that's where we got the allays, if I remember correctly. Maybe that's not correct. It might have been a different one. But I'm actually now like 95% sure we did go here. We got the allays there, and then we kind of hid in that village, I think. So we're going to take a quick look here to see if that is true, because if not, we want to get the allays from this. That is empty. And that one looks like, yeah, it has been broken. So that must be the case. Yeah, we must have got the allays from this area. So we're going to fly out of here, get the pillagers sort of off of our trail. Then we can place down this bed and we can sleep. And then we can hopefully get that villager to be turned into a librarian with a mending trade. And then we can get it over by the nether, or even just keep it here temporarily. Looks like the pillagers have made their way over here pretty quickly too. So as we wait for it to become aroundish noon, we'll take a look in this ice spike. It's actually kind of a smaller one. There could be some other things around here, I guess. Where I am, it's already starting to snow in real life, so definitely becoming closer to winter. I see a random villager house, actually. I don't know if that's like part of a really weird village or something else, but let's take a look at that. That's kind of interesting. Could also technically have a village there, or a villager there. We have here some blue ice igloos. Those are always kind of a rare thing. Take a look here. Could be some treasure, just some blue beds mostly. We'll go through here. It's always kind of interesting because the blue ice structures that can rarely be inside of the snowy village are the only place in the game, as far as I know, outside of the icebergs where you can actually get that blue ice, which is kind of interesting. So we'll go through here. This is nothing but it's kind of a funny house. It's like a little walkway and then a small room, but this is, I believe, that's of course the one with the smithing table. There's a little baby bunny, and it doesn't look like there's much here, actually. A very small village, it seems to be. Although, of course, villages can be fairly small. Something... Oh, no, this isn't small. There's more of it down there, I notice now. Something kind of interesting, actually, I noticed a while ago is it seems like villages tend to be bigger in Bedrock. I'm not sure if that's true, but it seems like in the Bedrock editions of Minecraft, villagers are larger. Now, we have here, actually, a blacksmith. This does maybe not look like a blacksmith, but it is. The snowy village blacksmiths are made out of diorite. So we're going to go over here. Could be diamonds, but there's not. There's just iron pickaxe and apples, but there we go. I can technically have that though, and also I believe there's a glitch where this diorite can actually have like ores that generate in it, because I've found one of those that has like copper ore, which is kind of funny. Someone said they zombified and cured all of their villages or villagers inside of their trading hall today, and they're saying it feels good to have them all at one emerald, and it definitely does. It's always very cool to have sort of all your hard work not go to waste. Actually, I had something really horrible happen in a survival world of mine a little while ago around villages, or around villagers, which was the fact that I had a bunch of villagers that were really good kind of next to each other. So it's kind of an interesting forest there. It was basically the librarian that had mending, and also fortune and silk touch. No joke, all three of those things on one villager, which is of course insanely rare. There was also a villager that was an armor, and one of the pieces of armor was almost perfect enchantment. So I think it was Unbreaking 3, Protection 3 on the chest plate, just by default. And so basically, they're all next to each other. There was another one which was a toolsmith, so I think it was 3 different villagers. And a lightning strike turned just those 3 out of like my 20 villagers in the system, turned just those 3 ones into witches. So then, of course, I put down some lightning rods, but there's no way of curing a witch, so it was kind of too late there. Let's see if we can get this villager. It's on the roof here. Apparently, it's a roofer. Doesn't have a job. Let's see if we can get it to sort of take this one, maybe. Looks like it's just wanting to jump on the roof mostly. So we'll try and find another villager that maybe is more willing to take a job. There could be one. Now, that could easily be that librarian that we sort of destroyed the workstation of, but this one's more likely because it's around here. So if we place this down, will it take the job? And it did. Look at that. So we have nothing of use. Technically, this actually could have what we want, but here's the trick. You basically want to break it and replace it. And I think we can actually put this in our offhand. No, that doesn't work. There we go. Fortune 1. Look at that. Perfect. We'll go through here and see if we can get it to pick it up again. Impaling 3. This can take like 10 seconds or like an hour. And I found the sort of chance of it is like so variable because it's basically they have the exact same chance of giving you any single trade in the entire game. So for instance, Infinity, that's actually really good. But again, I've had times I've had to give up like Fortune 3 or Silk Touch or something really good just because I really needed mending to start off with. And if that ever happens to you, notice right here I placed down a block and it's not in my inventory anymore, it disappeared. The only thing you have to do to fix it is basically interact with something. So like you just noticed there, it just appeared again. Isn't that so weird? It's like a really weird glitch. It's been in the game forever, but kind of interesting if you want to do something with that. Now again, has it. Sometimes you can trap these and you can cycle through it. We have here channeling. Hopefully it'll be something good fairly quick. If not, we'll just kind of keep it as that. Aqua Affinity. And we have that there as well. Someone says they remember having Mending, Unbreaking, and Sharpness 5 on my villager, and they got it on a random SMP server, but not on their sort of established hardcore world that they care about. Oh my goodness, Efficiency 5, look at that. And yeah, I've had that happen too, unfortunately. Sometimes having the best stuff on an area. And of course, I just broke that because we do not want Efficiency 5. Look at this. Efficiency 5 gives us Unbreaking 3 next. It'll be next. Mending and Fortune, probably. Nope, nothing. But yeah, it's always annoying when you sort of get something really good, but you don't care about it that much. Like I found I kind of assign value sort of like subconsciously different Minecraft worlds. Like, you know, a certain world it's like I don't really care about that much, so even if I find a lot of diamonds or an enchanted golden apple, it's like whatever. But then there'll also be worlds too where I've played them in a long time, where I've just kind of really wanted to keep them long term. And so then if I find like anything good, it's like this is actually feels like it's going to last forever because it's really valuable. So it's kind of interesting how that happens with most worlds. There's sort of different levels of value to that. And breaking 1. Hopefully it's actually going to grab it. At least it seems to be pathfinding to it. We could technically like block off the door or something, but like it's kind of hard to do that without us getting blocked off as well. So we'll replace this just a couple more times. We won't like farm this forever, but Feather Falling 1, kind of horrible enchantment. It's like it's going to switch this pathfinding, come right back in, so we're kind of confusing it here. It's funny. We'll go like that. And Thorns 2. Thorns is interesting enchantment, actually. I've noticed it's sort of very debated on people who use it and people who don't. Now, I found that personally I really like Thorns, but you can never have it if you're dealing with villagers. And the problem with Thorns as well is that it kind of reduces the durability of your armor really quick. So it's kind of up to you what you want to do with Thorns. But I have found that there's kind of pros and cons to it for sure, because also the extra damage it gives is fairly low. Again, we're getting like all the good enchantments, but Mending. What we have here, nothing really that good. Someone says Thorns with Mending is fine. It can be fine for sure. I've just found if you're on like a massive, let's say, PvP fight, and obviously Mending isn't going to apply at all in that scenario, then you can actually lose your armor's durability really, really quickly in a scenario like that. And Projectile Protection 4. We're not getting like anything good. But, you know, to be fair, what we could also do is we can sort of set up an area to do the villagers, and then a little bit later we can kind of get it fully done. So let's take a look here. Maybe I did get it now. I think it must have, no, it's here, unemployed. At least we have these villages fairly close. I've been in some worlds before where that doesn't happen. And of course, yet again, we lost that enchantment table or the lectern really strangely. Hopefully the villager is going to get it. And we have infinity. So that literally the third time that we've had infinity. And I mean, infinity is great, but we're not going for infinity. So it's always funny, you kind of get what you don't want. But I found like basically every single time I've had a villager that offers Mending, I'll just take it even if I already have like a Mending villager. Just because then there's sort of, you know, additional ones in case they die. Like Sharpness 5. Now to be fair, 63 emeralds is ridiculous. But Sharpness 5 is also really good. Curse of Binding, yeah, that's a great one. Here's something interesting actually on Bedrock Edition. Curse of Binding and Curse of Vanishing were not able to be sort of, villagers would not sell that. But now recently I believe it's changed, or it will change really soon, where villagers will now be able to offer you Curse of Binding and also Curse of Vanishing. So it kind of took that from something like, let's say, Soul Speed 3 or the Swift Sneak 3, where it's kind of, you know, it's a very limited enchantment, not able to be got from villagers, like a treasure enchantment, I think that's what it's called. Like, let's say Frostwalker, I believe, is treasure enchantment, and Mending is as well, though villagers can, they can sell you those ones. But it's interesting because, yeah, now in Bedrock, if you want Impaling, or if you want Curses for whatever reason, you technically can do that, although it's not that useful. Alright, well, looks like this villager is not going to be giving us Mending anytime soon. Fortune 2, we'll try it like 5 more times, then we will go on to something else. Aqua Affinity, that's 1 more time. Quick Charge 3, again, pretty good enchantment. I feel like this would be easiest if you wanted to get like every enchantment. You know, you had like 50 villagers, so you kind of just like go through them and it's like, oh, this one's Quick Charge, we'll just go to that. And actually Quick Charge twice is kind of rare, it's interesting. Curse of Vanishing, and once. Thorns 2, we'll try it 1 more time, see if it's Mending. It is, well, nothing, but we'll try it with Book. Nothing again. It's trying to make this one last a long time. Looks like it's going to try it one more time. Infinity. Well, there we go. Well, we're just going to keep it as that for now. We'll probably fly back to our base. Kind of interesting cave there in the corner, actually. But, you know, it is what it is. These kinds of things, like I said, usually take anywhere from like 2 minutes to an hour. So I probably won't grind for all of that on stream, of course. But again, generally, if you want to get like a specific enchantment, instead of sort of just saving any good one that you come into, it will take a lot longer. So sometimes people will actually kind of avoid getting anything like that until they can have the entire system set up, which although I would not necessarily suggest that approach, it can definitely work. Now we're going to go sort of in the zigzag pattern I was talking about earlier. No, there's a taiga village over here. I just noticed that. We'll sleep real quick, but look, right in the corner there. I did not notice that before, and I've walked up here like totally viewing that like multiple times, which is really interesting. So we'll actually get a quick look at that taiga village. Looks really sort of atmospheric there on the mountainside, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's like kind of hiding too. I think I only saw it because it was nighttime. It's like, yeah, totally like hidden there. I can barely even see it here, which is quite cool. Take a look at this. I don't know how big it is. Taiga villages tend to be kind of broken looking. But we'll see if this one is broken looking or not. I have a question. It says, when making villager halls, do you breed villagers and then have multiple villagers of the same job for different enchantments, or one of each type? You want to have multiple villagers of the same job for different enchantments, and there's actually certain like villager professions, like let's say leather worker, that are just 100% not worth it at all. Like there's just nothing good you get from them. Like maybe there's a couple scenarios in which you'd want them. Same with shepherd, really not that good. There can be some uses, but at the end of the day should not be your first choice. So I would generally say like you kind of want two main things, and that's villagers with really good buy trades and villagers with really good sell trades. And they're never really the same ones. So like really good sell trades would be you could sell it maybe stone for, you know, emeralds, or maybe you could sell it, let's say, pumpkins and melons for emeralds. But then for the buy trades, that would be a librarian. They would give you the enchanted books. They even give you name tags, which is really good. And also maybe for buy trades would be the armorers or the toolsmiths with your diamond armors and tools. That's kind of how you pick it. I do have a I do have a video on villager trading that does discuss every single villager and what they give you. And you can kind of decide which one of those you think the enchantments are going to be useful or not for kind of what you're doing and customize it to that. We're almost out of inventory room, actually. We'll kind of put away some of these useless things. Here's something really cool we can notice in this structure. Not only is this actually a really cool house, but also right over here is a really, really rare structure. And it's not necessarily any rarer than any other structures, but it's just like super unique. And that is right over here, and that is basically the only structure in the game, again, as far as I can know, or remember anyway, that has an armor stand. It's this one right here. Actually, has two of them. So it's this outside sort of blast furnace villager, of course, the blast furnace giving the villager armor. But we can notice here there are two things right here that have the armor on it. It's the iron chest plate and of course the iron helmet on these two armor stands. It's kind of cool when you find that, as it's like such a rare thing. It looks like there's kind of competition here with the villager across of the weaponsmith. So of course it's always kind of fun to trade with villagers in their village and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's usually just the best idea to not. And actually, that's interesting. There's apparently two of them here, so it's like a super kind of lucky village we have here also. One with an iron chest plate and with a iron helmet there, which is pretty cool. We'll take another quick look around. This is also a very interesting house. You kind of get like it's kind of on like a pillar. Like maybe if it was flooding, it'd be good. But of course, there's no floods in Minecraft, so it's not that useful. And we'll go over here. So I guess that's the entire village. We'll take a little flyover. Usually good to do that because sometimes you'll kind of forget something. So like we can see right here, it's a little bit bigger than we thought. So it is actually a pretty big village, which is nice. Not that broken either. That is quite a nice village. We'll have to remember to do more stuff with that later. But either way, we're going to fly back to our base, and you can kind of see here, basically right over this mountain range, which is a beautiful, beautiful mountain range, just amazing terrain in the seed, which I love a lot. Right up the side of this mountain here, kind of over here, we can see there is our base, because there is the bamboo from it. It's actually an interesting trend I've noticed, a very unique trend, is that bamboo is almost always what I notice on a base first, if there is bamboo at the base, probably just because it's so tall. But it's just interesting because I found that like in most bases I build, if I put down bamboo, that's like the first thing I notice because it usually grows so tall and is also like this really bright green. So maybe like if you're just starting out making your base and you don't want to lose it and you have some bamboo, plant a little bamboo farm around it so you can have this kind of good visual marker of it being there. But anyway, here we are back and we are going to get all of our village loot put away, which is of course nothing compared to the end raid loot, but it's still something. And actually, here's something really cool here. So if you looked at all the items in my inventory, what item would you guess is the most valuable? You'd probably guess the Elytra that's almost broken. I didn't realize that, so I'm gonna put that away. But what you probably would not guess is this. It's actually this item right here. It's the large fern. So this item can only be obtained 2 ways. The first one is Taiga Village chests, and the second one is creative mode. So there's literally no way of getting a large fern, because if you break a large fern, like one that's 2 blocks together, it'll just drop 2 small ferns. So definitely a very interesting sort of feature there is that the large fern is technically one of the most valuable and most rare items in the entire game. In fact, technically probably rarer than enchanted golden apples, although likely a little bit easier to get, but still very interesting for sure. I'm going to put away the rotten flesh here and the food we do not need. But more or less I feel like this has been really successful, and we've got all these things from the end raid. Really successful end raid. We did not die. We used up all of our levels successfully. We've done more exploration, so it's looking awesome. And I feel like just with everything we have here too, our sort of next thing we're going to be working on is going to be really successful because we have all these different items that are going to help us. This good armor, these, you know, good tools, almost perfect tools for some of these, great sword. So whether the next episode is Woodland Mansion or starting a base or fighting the Wither or whatever, I hope I'll see you there. But anyway, this is the end of this Survival live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to press the like button, as then more people will see it. And of course, be sure to also follow me on all my social medias, and also be sure to join the Discord. I want to be doing some multiplayer events soon, and I did make a post on that. But if you have not seen it and have not joined, be sure to join the Discord, because there's so many benefits to that, including joining my SMP, which is play.eyecraftmc.com for both Bedrock and Java. Anyway, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I will talk to you later.